in video land. This is me, the greatest masked wrestler of all time, the man with the 21-inch arms, the masked maniac. You guys know the masked Willie. Say hey, Willie. Okay, it's balls. You're the boss. This is the boss. I'm the masked maniac. And the first USA Pro Wrestling shoot video ever is going to be the USA Pro Wrestling champion, the three-time USA Pro Wrestling champion, former ECW superstar, would still be an ECW superstar if the company didn't fold up and disappear into nowhere land.
Yeah, no shit.
Balls Mahoney.
I got you.
What's happening, Balls?
Good.
See, we're close. We're close.
Man, one of these days I'm gonna have big arms.
We are close personal friends. As a matter of fact,
yes, we are.
Balls Mahoney is right now in my palatial estate. Somewhere I'm not telling you little peon fans where exactly that is, so all your little family members don't come and peek over my fence. Tell them about the beach.
See, we were gonna do it at the beach, but there's something like 3 weeks ago. I had to do a public nudity statutes, and the maniac bailed me out of jail, and so we had to
yeah, all that stuff aside.
All that aside.
Let's zoom the camera in. Before we start this, we're gonna look at the new Balls Mahoney.
Yeah.
Chiseled, ripped to shreds, no baby fat. Out there in video land. This is me, the greatest masked wrestler of all time, the man with the 21-inch arms, the masked maniac. You guys know the masked Willie. Say hey, Willie. Okay, it's balls. You're the boss. This is the boss. I'm the masked maniac. And the first USA Pro Wrestling shoot video ever is going to be the USA Pro Wrestling champion, the three-time USA Pro Wrestling champion, former ECW superstar, would still be an ECW superstar if the company didn't fold up and disappear into nowhere land.
Yeah, no shit.
Balls Mahoney.
I got you.
What's happening, Balls?
Good.
See, we're close. We're close.
Man, one of these days I'm gonna have big arms.
We are close personal friends. As a matter of fact,
yes, we are.
Balls Mahoney is right now in my palatial estate. Somewhere I'm not telling you little peon fans where exactly that is, so all your little family members don't come and peek over my fence. Tell them about the beach.
See, we were going to do it at the beach, but there's something like 3 weeks ago. I had to do a public nudity statutes, and the maniac bailed me out of jail, and so we had
yeah, all that stuff aside.
All that aside.
Let's zoom the camera in. Before we start this, we're going to look at the new Balls Mahoney. Chiseled, ripped to shreds, no baby fat, been going to the gym with Bam Bam Bigelow, Chris Candido, Sonny, Tammy, whatever she calls herself this week, and Jerry the Wall.
Yeah,
check it out.
That's right. Every day. In fact, I hit the gym more than them. Anybody who used to know me, I had a gut about out to here. I'm down about 310. I have actually size, muscle. It's good. And I'm not done yet. You should all be frightened. Hey, all you guys up there at WWE should be frightened. This is only 6 months, okay? Be frightened. Give me 6 more months, see what I look like.
All right, well, enough of the foolish behavior.
Enough of the
We're going to start.
Enough of the rippling one ab.
That's right.
Look at that giant
I'm
ab.
the one with the one ab.
Yeah, but you got that firm ab. See,
I got the greatest ab in the history of wrestling.
I got like an ab here and an ab there, and I got like a little ab trying to come out there, and I get the skin now because I lost all that fat, You got a nice solid, power drum ab.
That's right.
That's why you bench 500 pounds.
That's right, because I'm the masked maniac. And you're not.
That's
all right,
true.
Let's start up with these questions because my wife's going to smack me in the back of the head if we don't finish this thing on time.
All right.
All right, first, I have to ask him questions. Come here. We got fruit punch on your face. I know, but do me a favor. Look at the camera and give it a raspberry. All right. All right, go play with Mommy now. All right. Pause, let me ask you.
Pause.
Let's pause on that. No pausing on anything.
Pause. I love how you go from that masked maniac voice into like, it's okay, sir.
First of all, it's not me changing my voice. It's a couple years ago I got a good smack in the face, got a tooth knocked out, and I went from having a manly voice, brother, to having a little Cindy Brady lisp. So I try to disguise the Cindy Brady lisp. Now, if you're not done eating all the sausages that my wife and I bought to con you to come over here.
They con me, all right.
All right, Balls. What are your fondest memories of wrestling?
As a fan or as a wrestler? What do you mean?
All right, growing up as a fan. Growing up as a fan, what are the first things that really stuck in your mind about being, about watching wrestling? What made you want to be a wrestler?
Right. See, that's a good question. Well, I mean, a lot of people don't know this. I said this on, I think I did that stupid RF video, and I kind of like gave this a little bit. On a full-out 100% shoot, I used to watch wrestling every Saturday after our morning with my grandfather, and he was sick because my dad. Hey, all you kids out there with rough childhoods, don't worry. Look, you can make something of yourself, all right? I didn't have a father. I did have a father. I don't know where he is. So my grandfather was a big, he was in World War II, Korea, so he's a wrestling fan. That's what they did back then in those days. They had Gorgeous George. Even you knew Chuck Richards was, he knew Candido's grandfather,
Right.
So, this is the weirdest memory I have of wrestling early. Like, we used to love Ivan Putski, and he got sick, and they had him in the hospital bed in the living room of the house I grew up in.
Cool. Ivan Putski got sick?
Well, no, my grandfather. Ivan Putski's sick anyway, eating those onions like he does.
All right.
But, I remember we were watching it, and I always used to say, because I was a big kid, I was, 100 pounds in kindergarten. I was like a 300-pound kid. Ice cream! Okay. This gets a little sad. I was a 300-pound kid in 7th grade, and, but I was a big athletic kid, too. It's not like I was just like a big fat kid like Matt Kaufman over there, I had athletics, I played sports. But I remember I was going to play football, and Ivan Putski was on, made sure I'm watching my grandfather because he's got diabetes. I mean, I didn't know at the time that he was dying of diabetes. And he's got the hospital bed, and we're watching. He was just turning around over, John, you can do this if you really, really want to. I said, okay, Pop. And I gave him a kiss. I love you. He goes, okay, now go hurt somebody in football. I said, okay, so I'm going to go get dressed. And I hear a siren. I don't know what's going on. I go back out in the living room, and my mom's hysterical. My grandmother's going, breathe, Ed, breathe. And that was the last words he said to anybody. My grandfather died. That's a true story. But, so that's like a weird story. My memory, this is weird. I can thank Mr. Goodman for this. The best memory I have, earliest memory of wrestling, and I'll never forget, I'm sick as a dog. Remember that first fever you had when you were a little kid? Not when you're like 2 or 3. I'm talking like when you're like 10, 11, 12, 13, and you got 103 and you're hallucinating.
That's called VD.
Well, at 12? How do you get VD at 12? Well, it's possible nowadays, but
mess around with the wrong girls.
Well, nowadays, yeah, I hear about that. But back then, no, not VD. But you know what I'm talking about. You're delirious, and all I wanted to do was watch some wrestling, and it was like I'm screaming, I want to watch wrestling, and it's like 12:30 at night, on a school night, I think. And so my mom's just like flickering, and all of a sudden on the Spanish station, I see Santa Claus screw Dusty Rhodes. And of course that was the Kevin Sullivan, Jake the Snake Roberts angle. And I gotta remember, I'm like almost in an acid-induced hallucination state. I have 103.5 viewer. I should be in the hospital. I'm like, and I'm just quiet. And I'm like, and my mom goes, all right, that's enough. And I grabbed the remote out of her hand. And I just sat in that chair and I was like, don't turn it off. And I finally got my first glimpse of Kevin Sullivan. He's got Fallen Angel with him. I fell in love at first sight. Who didn't fall in love with Fallen Angel?
And was that the fondest, or the?
This was the fun.
That is like the fondest memory you've had.
Well, as watching, no, the fondest memory, I actually wasn't a fan. It was, again, it centers around a death. Me and Candido, we started out this together when we were kids. We were setting up rings, and we were actually working some matches under hoods, under not exactly Masked Maniac hoods, but under hoods. And we would get they knew if the ring was there early, we would set it up. The ring crew guys knew we would set the ring up, just us, just to get to the train. And sometimes we'd have problems with certain wrestlers, and that day Bruiser Brody was on the show. Now, of course, I'm watching Florida Championship Wrestling all these years, and NWA, and getting Texas. I mean, my idols were Abdullah, Terry Funk, Bruiser Brody, Kevin Sullivan, of which I've had the opportunity to work with or on shows.
Yeah, but hold on 1 second. You got ice cream. What kind?
I can't eat ice cream. What is this?
I don't eat WWF ice cream. Matter of fact, how bad could this be? This stuff hasn't even been sold for 20 years. Well, I guess not.
Oh, this is a Chris Jericho.
I guess it's new.
It's new. What's this one? Chris Jericho. You know what? It's hot out. Okay. You calm down, relax.
All right, continue on with the story.
So, we're training in the ring, we're bumping, and, you know, working hard. And Tommy Cairo was one of the ones who would come in and help us. I remember watching Bruiser Brody walk into the building, and he sees these kids. I mean, we're kids, you know, 15 years old. He sees these kids in the ring. And he's, like, watching us, and we're like, all right. And then, like, we didn't wrestle that night, of course, but what we would do is do security and gopher for the wrestlers. Like, anyone needed a Coke, we go get a Coke. If they needed us to go run 10 blocks to the store for something, we'd do it. You know, anything the promoter or the wrestlers wanted to do. And by this time, you know, we've already been around, so a lot of the independent guys know us, and some of the name guys know us. Well, Bruiser Brody, of course, being my idol, I was like, Mr. You know, and you hear all the horror stories back then. Brody would, you know, wow, fans and go after. I mean, in Japan, he used to go after fans left and right. You know, a fan did him wrong. I mean, this was influence on me. You know, if a fan ever touched Brody in the wrong way, wow, you know, and that's the way it should be. You know, fan gets involved. You know. So I go up to Brody.
I just pulled that pants down.
I go up to Brody like, yeah, and the kid, poops out Chris Jericho ice cream.
That's right.
But like I go up to Mr. Brody, I'm like, sir, it's such an honor to meet you, and he's like, you're pretty big. How old are you there, son? You know, because by now I'm about the same size back then. At 15, I'm like about this much shorter, still fat, but not like that. You know, not built like this. And Brody's like, you know, you two ain't too bad. He goes, you know what? He goes, what are you doing after this? I go, we're security and gophers.
What's he doing, talking too loud? Oh, okay. Go stay with Mommy. I'll quiet him down.
Okay. The boss said to quiet down. So he's like, hey, Mike, come here. So the promoter comes over. He goes, you see these two? He goes, yeah. He goes, they do nothing except for me tonight. And we're like, what the hell is going on? You know, we're scared. We don't know what's going on, you know? So we go into his locker room, and Brody sits us down and starts giving us lectures, and he's telling us how to do this and how not to do that and how to do business and what not to do for business. And I mean, me and Candido were like, this is great. And I remember Fantastic came in, and they knew we were there, and we were out getting something for Brody, and we were coming back. I think we got him like a couple waters. And Fantastic was like, yo, kid, why didn't you get us anything like that, you dumb? And Brody goes, you leave them alone. And we were like, oh, yeah, all right. You know, we're cool. A month later, Brody was dead.
Oh,
you know, a month, that was like his last appearance in New Jersey. And then the next thing we heard about Brody was when that scumbag, Jose Gonzalez, you know, opened him up like a fish, you know. I did get him for that, too, so.
Good.
I didn't kill him, but he did get a broken nose for it, so.
Balls, how did you break into wrestling?
Well?
Because you jumped from being a little snot fat kid with his grandfather, who all of a sudden setting up rings with Chris Candido.
Well, see, I met Chris playing baseball. You know, I said I did play a lot of sports, baseball, soccer. I was too big for football, but basketball. And I remember getting to the game early, and I was like one of the first ones there. And you can ask the Maniac at the wrestling shows, I am the first one, 99% of the time, I'm the first one there, dressed, taped, and ready to go.
First one to ask for their pay?
First one to ask for the pay, too.
Yeah, Mr. Goodman told me about that.
Well, Mr. Goodman's also the first guy in the wrestling business who actually walks up to you, hey, buddy, how you doing? It's good to see you. And you're like, oh, okay, you know, what am I going to do with what's this? That's your pay. It's 4 o'clock in the afternoon, Mr. Goodman. Well, you're paid. And, I mean, there ain't no promoters that do that.
Except Mr. Goodman.
Except Mr. Goodman. But, there was a fly. I'm sorry.
How did you break into wrestling, Mr. Mahoney?
This kid I see on the field is wearing these baseball pants. He's got cleats literally on the wrong shoes. You ask him, it's a true story. He's got cleats on the wrong shoes. He's got his hat on sideways. He's got his glove on the wrong head. He's wearing a Hot Rod t-shirt. So, of course, I start talking wrestling with him. And, you know, we're playing baseball, and he's out in the outfield doing something. I whack a ball out to him. The kid actually throws the glove up in the air, hits the glove, catches it in his hat, and gets me out. I played first base, so I did the old hit and they walk. I said, walk him. I'm like, well, I walked the kid, you know, because he got that stupid catch, and I got him with the hidden ball trick. And then he wouldn't leave because we're still talking about, like, the last night on, yesterday on wrestling with the, what Piper did on the pit and everything. So after the game's over, I met his mom, and he's like, you know, you want to be a wrestler? I'm like, I've always wanted to be a wrestler. You know, I'm 12 years old at the time. He goes, well, yeah, show at Convention Hall, you know, Asbury Park used to run a lot. That's coming up. I'm like, yeah, my friend has to take you to that. Show up there at 12 o'clock. And I'm like, okay. So show up there at 12 o'clock, ask for Chuck Richards. I'm like, okay. And Chris Candido, and I met his grandfather that Saturday, and he's like, all right, kid, take that post. You know, he's a 12-year-old fat kid, and he got the steel ring post. He's like, all right, kid, pick that post up and bring it over there. And he's, you know, and it's Chuck Richards and Augie Weil, Larry Sharp's late father. It was his ring. It was Chuck and Larry Larry and Augie used to run shows together. And we started setting up the ring. We got the ring up, and next thing I know, I'm in the ring getting waffled by Chuck Richards going, yeah, what? And, you know, when you got a 250-pound veteran, old man, like, he's not, you know, he was an older man then, but he still is a man, you know, this guy used to train old school style, you know, a guy who would, like, do 7,000, you know, curls because they didn't know that was overtraining, so he's got forms the size of this, and when he hits a 12-year-old kid because your first day fell to the side wrong, he goes, that's wrong, boom, it leaves an impression on you, you know, and then just every show we can get to, it's not just independent shows, you're talking about Great American Bashes, WWF, before they stopped putting an end to anybody who wasn't an employee. This is back when Vince Sr. was still alive. And, I mean, we would go to any place where we could set up a ring or learn or to go for work. I mean, you name it, we were there. I mean, we were at front row for one of the, I think, the Great American Bash. When they did one in Philly, they did one in Maryland, and
right.
You know, they went on tour, and we actually made it to Maryland. And then when we got old enough, when we were ages 15, we were 14, 15, and 16, we were actually like, the backyard wrestling was kind of our fault. We were the first ones to ever get a ring because obviously we knew these, you know, the Monster Factory students, because we would travel to the Monster Factory once a month if we could. We'd pull our money in, get a ride with anybody we could, and we would go get our asses handed to us by all these students, you know, and we would rent a ring every summer and put it up in the park and get MS to back the money for the ring, and we'd pass around a hat, and all the Monster Factory students would come down, and we'd put on a wrestling show. So it wasn't actually backyard wrestling. The only backyard wrestlers were like me, Chris, his best friend Scott at the time, like he was my friend too, and then a couple kids who we were friends with, we'd like put like a cloth, like take a couple of cloth Rising Sun bandanas and sew them together and put it on a kid. This kid, John Lou here, I remember, we put it on him. He goes, you're the Rising Sun. He goes, okay, what do I do? He goes, you go out there and let him beat you up. He goes, okay. So we're out there. We didn't know any better. We're like, you know, clotheslining with the wrong arm and, you know, arm dragging the wrong arm and punching with the lefts. And it was fun then, but as, you know, and then we learned about underground shows in New York City, like, most of the shows we went to were at the Galaxia Sporting Gym.
Right, like unlicensed type stuff.
Right, the unlicensed, yeah, the underground.
And how old were you?
15.
So from like 12 to like 15, you're setting up rings?
Setting up rings, training.
Right.
And not only at ring, but during the week, I mean, we live right by the ocean, we're bumping on the sand. I mean, you can't work on ropes. I mean, when you got in the ring, the first thing we did was crisscross.
Right.
You know, we'd learn the ring. But our bumps were fine because we had the beach and you got guardrails. We're superplexing each other off guardrails. We're taking clotheslines. Chuck would say, you're taking your hip tosses bad. Or Augie would say, your arm drags suck. Go work on 100 arm drags. So every day after school, we'd meet even at night. And if the sand was wet, we'd go on the dirt. And we'd do 100 arm drags each and take them on the dirt, you know? Kind of
right. So when was your first unlicensed show then? Your first unlicensed match?
First unlicensed but paid match. I was 15 years old, and me and Candido tagged against Black Gorman, and for the life of me, I cannot remember who the other wrestler was. Neither can Chris, because when they did that first PWI spread on, they said, you know, youngest wrestler ever, 15 years old against Black Order. That's a lie. It was a tag team match, and we didn't know who the other wrestler was. And by that point, when Chris got that spread, I had gotten, because when Chris was 17, he actually was licensed.
Right.
He actually got licensed in New Jersey at 17, because his principal at his school forged a birth certificate for him so he could get licensed. Whereas I was captain of a football team, wrestling team. I wanted to go to college. And I wrestled a year in college, blew my right knee in college. In fact, I was the first high school athlete that I know. In fact, this is a fact. I was the first high school athlete naturally to squat 1,000 pounds. And I did the squat, and when I came up, you know, you squat, you come like that, and you come up with 1,000 pounds. God, it hurts just to do that. When I stepped forward, you know, put the weight up, my knee locked, and fall in the cartilage. I mean, I started a scar there, and there.
Yeah, but do that squat again. Let me see it.
Squat like that?
Yeah.
You got it. But I did that, stepped up.
And you folks thought this was going to be a boring shoot interview with some bald-headed chemo-looking dude named Nick Knowledge. I don't think so.
Who's Nick Knowledge?
That's that bald-headed guy at Jack's, at the ICW shoot videos.
ICWShootVideos.com.
That's right.
But, so when Chris was wrestling professionally, really licensed, and when he met Tammy, it was actually, I think it was 17 or 18 or 19. He was between 17 and 19. He was wrestling Johnny Hop on a show. I was far more advanced he was than I was at the time. He's out there, he meets Tammy, he sees this girl in the crowd, goes, ooh, throw me out over there, and he, hey, maybe we have to go to the show, and the rest, of course, is,
right.
You know, Sunday in history. But while he was doing that, I'm running 5 miles a day. I'm wrestling in college. I'm going undefeated. I toss a guy. I'm in the finals of the national qualifier. Launched the guy in the third period. I'm winning 13-zip. Put him down, pin him, tore all the cartilage in my right knee. So I had to get the surgery, and I had to bow out of the national tournament. And I watched a kid who I destroyed, who got the first seed by default in the tournament because I was undefeated, pin his way through the junior college national tournament, and go on to take, I think his, 3 years later, went on to take 4th place in the NCAA Division I tournament for Penn State. Good. So Chris knew I was done with that. And he's like, hey, man, why don't you come on? Hey, let's get back into it. Let's get back into it. I'm like, no, there's still one more thing I got to do. And I was a good freestyle wrestler, which is Olympic style. And, I mean, most of you guys know this story, but it's a real true story. I was in the U.S. Open National Tournament. It was a quarterfinal match against a guy named Domingo Mesa. He was a Pan American Greco-Roman and freestyle champion, 3-time each. And the guy butted me, opened me up. We closed it. We already knew about Crazy Glue back then, and we closed that thing up. Because, I mean, these guys, they're paid to train. They're paid to wrestle. They're paid by Tiger Asics and their country and everything. I was working full-time jobs. I'm going to the gym. I'm getting whatever mat time I can at different high schools. I'm running 5 miles in the morning. I'm running 3 miles in the afternoon. I'm running 2 miles at night. I'm doing all these different wrestling things. I'm hitting every tournament I can go. I'm going all over New Jersey, New York, Pennsylvania, hitting these tournaments. So I actually won the New Jersey, the Pennsylvania, and the Delaware State Open tournament to qualify for the national tournament. So I was pretty good. And this guy, he butts me, I get mad, and I snap him down, duck under, throw him down, crossface, hook, underhook. It's called a reverse headlock move. Him with the lower back, I can't even demonstrate it on. It's basically the crippler crossface. The crippler crossface, you got the guy's arm like this, and you got the crossface. Well, with this move, you're sit out the same way, but you're underneath his arm, and you have him cinched. And what you can do with this move is you go this way. He exposes his back. It's 2 points. You can keep doing it. Well, as I tried to hook him, he went like that, and I had to, I have a temper. And back then, you're 19 years old, you're growing, you don't care about nothing, and I just took this kid, I put both feet on the mat, threw my hips straight up in the air, and took one huge step back and arched straight back, and this guy's back. But if this is his back, okay, this is his face, this is his belly, this is his back, I'm here, okay? He did this and stayed like that, bent at an angle, and I broke his back. And I didn't mean to do that, and I went, Jesus. I can't believe I did this. But it's a legal hold, a legal move, and I got DQ'd. And if I didn't get DQ'd, I'm in the semifinals, and I'm wrestling Bruce Baumgartner. Hey, I'm not going to sit here and say I could have beat Baumgartner. I'll be honest with you, I don't think I could have, but I would have known how good I was. That's all I want to know. I just want to know how good I could have been. And then when this ref DQ'd me, I'm like, you can't do this to me. All I've been doing is dedicating my life to this, blah, blah, blah. And I broke a guy's jaw in a tournament with a crossface. I was a rough wrestler. The guy
I'll take it, Fatso.
The guy put his hand on me, and I just went, bam, and I knocked the referee out. So that was the end of, in fact, 2 years ago, they lifted my coaching ban. I can now coach amateur wrestling. So starting this December, or this November, if I'm not picked up by either
Please enter your password.
any big company, I'll be coaching high school wrestling.
You have no
And then, of course, talking to coming back in with.
To change your greeting, press
And
I'm a businessman. Look, let's.
basically,
I asked you
I'm good. Hey,
20
he's
minutes
not
ago.
shooting. What?
20 minutes ago, the question was about your first match as a pro that you got paid for, and all of a sudden we wind up talking about everything else that has to do with it.
Well, this is just a shoot interview. I'm telling the truth.
All right. Did you ever go to wrestling school?
Yeah, I went to different wrestling schools. We went to, as I said, went to Monster Factory all the time when we were kids. You know.
Larry Sharp was your teacher?
Larry Sharp, Charlie Fulton. On the road, our main teacher was actually Ted Petty and Tommy Cairo. Ted Petty, Rocco Rock, man. He was the best. Ow! I'm bleeding. Ah, imagine that, I'm bleeding. How the hell did that happen?
I busted open balls, Mahoney.
Willie! The maniac broke my finger!
You answer the damn questions I give you.
Okay, I'll answer, I promise. So Ted Petty would help train us a lot, and then as Chris was, already in wrestling, I needed a place to go and get mat time. Mike Sharp's had just opened up, so I walked into Mike Sharp's one day. Jesus.
Excuse me, I'm a busy man.
Yeah, and I said, hey, I got some experience. I'd like to, see if I can just give me a month to get back before I go to the Monster Factory. And of course, this is Tom Rumsby. You know Tom Rumsby, right?
Yep, I do.
Does anybody know Tom Rumsby, Fat Tom? Fat Tom, who almost single-handedly ruined independent wrestling in New Jersey, which was then finished off by Dennis Corluzzo and Tony Falco. And he was like, yeah, sure, why didn't you ring with my kid, who did little Tom Jr. He knows what he's doing and wore a mask. And he never even been, trained, been in a real match. So I'm like, all right, and I get in the ring and this, and so
I
like,
can't,
Carl,
baby.
what can you
I
do?
have to do this important interview.
So I went, no, headlock, tackle, drop that. And the kid's like, whoa, stop. And I just started going right in the spots,
You saw
So
wee-wees.
within 2 weeks, I was...
Okay. Okay, Mom, I'm going to be over in a few minutes.
The head trainer at at Mike Sharp's school when it was originally in Bricktown, Mike was...
That's Iron Mike Sharp.
Iron Mike Sharp.
Used to wear the thing on his arm.
Hey, that guy. So from the day of walking in there to 2 weeks later, I went from being a student who they're trying to make money off of to the trainer.
I can't. Daddy has to finish this.
And I was
okay?
teaching
I'll be over in
even
a few
jumping
minutes.
stuff, and
Daddy,
that's
you
what I
have to
call
do
it.
better,
Jumping
Mom.
Jack Flash was his gimmick, so we used to call him Jumping.
That's-
Have an ice cream.
That's my son. He wants his daddy.
And the boss is throwing a fit. But, so I went there for about 6 months, and saved up money, got a good car, and started traveling 3 days a week down to the Monster Factory, which is what I should have been doing right away. But, and Tandino at this point was already in Memphis, and he just got back. And I'm like, Chris, help me out, man. Because I went down to the Monster Factory. Glenn Ruth was the head trainer at that point, and he didn't have too many good. Yeah, there were some students there, but there weren't anybody named really at that point that came out of there. So Chris used to come down 2 days a week and get in the ring, and when Chris started coming, Ray Odyssey started coming down, and then we started getting a couple good students. A guy named Gus Kanarakis, who was a good technical wrestler, mat technician. Chaz showed up. Big Show ended up coming in later. We had a couple big guys. And then, like, Larry was running his own shows then. And all the guys who would work Larry's shows ended up would come in and train 2 days a week with me because I was, lifting weights, and I wasn't size-wise like what I was, but I was a lot, skinnier.
Right.
Because I was done running, but a couple months later I went down to Puerto Rico.
All right, what was your first wrestling name?
My
First gimmick
ever
ever.
wrestling name was the Rebel Warrior, kind of like the Freebird thing.
Right.
I used to run around like an idiot when I was a you know, we used to do all these shows out here.
Yeah, you don't run around like an idiot anymore, though, right?
Yeah. No, I don't. I'm a professional.
Yeah, I know.
This is the calm. This is
Yeah.
this is
Yeah,
the
who
calm.
has big balls, right?
Well, no, this is the
you
calm
don't
John
do
Reckner.
stupid stuff.
This is the calm John Reckner. The old John Reckner ran around like a man. The calm John Reckner sits here and sips on his Pepsi.
So he sips on my Pepsi, and he eats my hot dogs,
Mr. Goodman's
and
hot
he's eating
dogs.
the ice cream that I guess
I'm not eating
Fat
the
Matt
ice-
probably
well,
bought.
Fat Matt, I'm gonna feed Fat Matt. Fat,
I don't think
come here,
Fat Matt needs
hey,
any
all right,
feeding.
come here. You know what? Zoom in on Fat Matt. Come here. Come here. This
See, everybody, we're not
I'm
kidding.
dieting. We're not kidding. I'm dieting. I'm trying to get big and muscular and strong. And what does he do? He brings us WWF ice cream. There you go. Eat him up. That's okay. No, well,
Yeah, yum yum, eat him up, Porky.
Eat him up. Don't. We make fun of Matt. Matt's a lawyer. Matt gets me out of trouble.
Yep.
I get you into trouble too, but that's okay.
Kayfabe, man. Jeez. You know, my wife's going to hear about all this stuff we say, so calm down.
All right, come on, we got important questions
All right,
here.
4 questions. Okay.
First match
Yes.
against the first name-wise opponent. The first time you stepped in the ring
Big boss
with
man.
a veteran. Boss
Oh, with a
with
veteran?
some, well,
Or
with
the
somebody.
WWF name?
Well, the first time you stepped in the ring with somebody, and when you looked across the ring,
I got
you knew
covered.
exactly who they were. Not like stepping
Oh.
in the ring and facing, you know, Joe Schmo the snot.
Facing Gangrel back when he was the
Right,
Vampire Warrior.
right.
Actually, when I went down to Puerto Rico, it was the first time I actually stepped in the ring and knew who these guys were. Hurricane Castillo Jr.,
Right,
Cheeky Star,
right.
who were both still wrestling.
Sure.
And Savio Vega, who back then was TNT. And
Right.
he was all over every magazine. He was the next big thing. Of course, WWF pushing was Savio Vega and Kang or Quang, whatever. And I thought he was a great talent. He loved me a lot, you know. That was the one I was like, I got put in the ring with him the second night. And I was like, oh, Jesus, you know, this guy's good. I know this guy, you know. They ended up marrying us. We worked every night then, from then on, and we had a great time. And that was the first one. But then when I got back from Puerto Rico, all of a sudden now, all the wrestling fans, of course, knew what I was doing down there.
Right.
All the local fans. So now, whenever the WWF, whatever name guy Larry would bring in, like he rent the Big Boss Man out, I'm wrestling the Big Boss Man.
So the Big Boss Man was the first
It was the
WWF
first
type
WWF
guy.
star I ever like wrestled like in a competitive match.
Right.
You know, I did do the Saturday morning TV jobs before that, and well, my first guy I was in the ring with across the ring. Then I went, all right, I know who this is. It was actually one of the Monster Factory students who used to beat up on us. Was Papa Shango,
Right.
The Soul Taker. Put the curse on my leg under my real name. I also did Virgil.
And that's for those idiots out there that don't know, the Godfather.
The Godfather of Soul. Yeah, the Godfather. You know, pimpin' hoes 24/7, whatever that gimmick is.
Another personal friend of the Masked Maniacs. I even got pictures inside of me with him.
He's good. He's a good dude.
He is a
man.
good dude. Great guy.
He's good people. He was good people back when he was training. See, these are the guys when me and Candido were growing up, who were beating on us. Soul Taker, Virgil. I wrestled Nasty Boys. I wrestled Mario Giannetti. Actually, after Papa Shango, I was on every TV taping, but I wasn't used. And then they were short guys, and me and Gus happened to be the only two guys from Jersey who made it all the way to Western Ohio. And they had nobody from Mario Giannetti, and they were trying to push. Dwayne Gill and Barry Hardy. Remember them guys?
Yep.
They were like the top job guys, like up there. They were pushing like, let him do it, let him do it, let him do it. So I actually worked Mario Giannetti. It was supposed to be a 4-minute squash match, and Marty was having such a good time. He goes, just listen to me, don't listen to the referee. And we ended up going like 11 minutes, and I got in trouble. You know, like they come back, what are you doing? We told you to go home. I'm like, he told me to just keep going. What am I supposed to do? And Marty came back, goes, no, I just wanted to see if the kid could go. I was having too much fun. Don't worry, you can edit it. And he took care of all the heat. So then, of course, the next night I'm working the Nasty Boys and Virgil, and I worked somebody else. I can't think of who it was, but the worst of it was Virgil. And I like Virgil, he's a nice guy, but
Yeah, that must have been a smoking match.
the smoking match, how bad is this? You know how bad Virgil is, right? Everybody knows Virgil is like one of the greatest talents in the
You can
business.
put that camera on me? Yes, I do.
Isn't Virgil one of the greatest talents ever in this business when it comes to stealing money from fans?
Yes, I do. And matter
Yes,
of
he
fact,
is.
one thing I have to say about Virgil is he has taught me curse words that I never thought existed.
But as far as a wrestler, and I'm sure the Maniac will tell you, he ain't that good.
Right.
And when you're a WWF job guy, your whole thing is go out there and make this guy look great. And there are 3 sets. I still have this tape somewhere, I swear.
Excuse me. Put the camera on me again. I'm still waiting for that guy to come along to make me look great. You can go back to Balls Mahoney.
I'll do it right now.
Yeah, he thinks so.
I will. I'll do it right now.
Listen, let's just keep this up here.
All right. So they actually show 3 times where you see me, like, you know, job guys, you got a punch in, that was it. And you see me going, will you do the spot? And they aired it like that. And then they show him, like, in the corner, he's going, he's lost, and I'm hitting the corner, and you see me going, backdrop right at him, and I'm hitting the thing, and I take the backdrop, and as I'm taking the backdrop, you can see my voice melting, arm drag, drop kick. I'm calling his spots on WWF television, and they aired it like that.
Right.
I mean, that was like, whoa. And I also had a gimmick, and I also wasn't like, I had a stupid haircut at the time, which is why I didn't work a lot of TVs. But they had no choice to use me.
All right, let me ask you a question. Maybe I'm zoning out here and there.
I jumped from.
Yeah, how the hell did we get to the WWF? I
You
didn't
asked
get
me
to
who was
that.
my first big name I wrestled, and I just went to these guys. These names
All right, let's try
were
this.
all
Here, look,
within
look.
6 months.
All right, here we go. You are the rebel doo-doo guy.
No, this back
Well,
then.
all right.
Back then it was.
You're the rebel.
Buddha Singh.
All right,
It was
all right, but
my
you're
first true gimmick.
you're the rebel doo-doo guy, and then after that, how far along after we
I
become?
was the Rebel Warrior.
Right.
Then when I went to the Mike Sharps, I wrestled briefly as the Lone Stranger. Kind of like what.
Right, yeah, blah blah blah.
Blah, blah, blah.
When did we turn
Then
into
I was a Buddha Singh.
a Buddhist?
Larry Sharp had no idea what to do with me, and I always breathed fire. You know, I learned how to breathe fire in college, and I was like, I need a name. I could do the Sheik gimmick, and he goes, "Hey, we'll call you Buddha Singh." I'm like, all right, that's fine. You know, and that's how I got that gimmick. And basically, the gimmick was just me mumbling mumbo jumbo because I'm supposed to be from Singapore.
And how long did this last?
That lasted actually some years because I did the gimmick down in Puerto Rico twice. The first time I went down as Saddam, it was the same gimmick, but they changed my name to Saddam Kazis. I wore the same outfit. I actually wore Sabu's outfit. Before Sabu was wearing like the big baggy pants, I was wearing these big baggy. No, hey, don't look at me like I'm crazy, all right? This is 1992. Sabu was still chopping fucking wood, okay? And I had the big baggy purple pants, okay? And I was a Buddha Singh, and I was a Saddam Kazis for Hugo Savinovich's company. Then I came back as a Buddha Singh, and then Larry put me with Abdul the Butcher, and he put me with all these WWF guys, put me with Abdul the Butcher, pushed me as this big guy. And I'm doing, shows all independent shows.
Right.
Anyone I can get on.
The whole indie circuit.
Yeah, the whole indie circuit, whoever would pay me, though. I wouldn't come to New York, guys were like, oh, I'll come in $50.
And where are you living now?
Still the same town I live in now, Spring Lake Heights,
Okay,
New Jersey.
so you're in Jersey all this time.
All this time. And I'm working in a pizzeria, and I'm doing...
And your family have, like you have enough money for a TV set, right? You have a TV set, right?
I have a TV set in a bedroom in my mom's house, which is a 5-room bungalow converted.
All right, so you were able to watch, like, WWF TV and stuff, right? Yeah. All right, so you were able to watch TV, right?
Yes.
Captain Kirk or that Captain Picard, that bald-headed jackass? Who's the best?
Picard.
You faggot. I knew he was a faggot.
Oh, me?
Yeah, turn the camera toward me. Listen, you're in the middle of space, and, like, you got these Klingon rat bastards and these Romulan rat bastards all around you, right?
Okay.
And Prince Nana's tossed in the middle of there, too. And they're about to, like, close in on you.
Wait, you didn't put Prince Nana in.
And you're about to get... These guys are about to kill you, and you have, like, no power, and Scotty's on crack, and Sulu's doing bad stuff with Matt Kaufman, and then all of a sudden, boom, Captain Kirk saves you, and everybody's okay. And this slob over here wants Picard, okay? Very good.
I like Picard, man. Well, look at who Picard also had. Like, all right, Kirk had Drunk Scotty and Bones. He had Leonard Nimoy just going, and he's got Uhura.
It's not open for discussion.
All right. I say Picard.
All right. So,
all right, who played a better... All right, I don't see William Shatner going out and redoing Moby Dick and playing Gregory Peck's part better than Gregory Peck. There. Picard.
Captain Kirk was T.J. Hooker.
T.J. my Hooker ass.
That's what he was, though.
Yeah, I know he was. Hi, I am T.J. Hooker. It was the same character. He's Captain Kirk with a cop badge.
The thing that blows my mind is, like, William Shatner's probably made, like, he's had to make a couple $1 million, like, through the years.
Easily.
And it still doesn't sink in that no matter how much money you have, the toupee looks like a toupee. And that never, it blows my mind that these guys just don't
how could you like
understand.
him better? Patrick Stewart, he's bald.
Oh, because he's...
All right, look. All right, let's look at William Shatner, T.J. Hooker, Captain Kirk, the Priceline commercials, and then all the Star Trek movie bullshit. Patrick Stewart.
Oh, he made this devil movie, though, with Ernest Borgnine.
Oh, yeah, I remember that
That was
one
the
with
best.
Our Father who art in
Yeah,
hell. Where he
and
actually
Ernest
used
Borgnine turned into a...
the demon, yeah.
The demon at the end.
They actually quoted the Satanic Bible in that. Anton LaVey was a co-producer of the film to give it an authentic feel. I know exactly what we're talking about.
I mean, how could you even compare the two?
Well, because you look at Patrick Stewart, you that movie Excalibur.
Yeah, that was like a gay...
That movie wasn't gay.
Had homosexual
you kidding me?
tendencies.
I had homosexual tendencies. That naked Guinevere getting railed in the ass by Lancelot. Come on screen, on HBO.
All right,
You're
look,
10 years old.
let's
and then
look.
you got him, Moby Dick. You know, Star Trek Next Generation. He's the Xavier from X-Files. Come on, right there. The kids.
You wrestled Xavier. You know,
Well, he's
little, you know. All right. Now we're at Buddha Singh.
Okay.
And you're at Buddha Singh for how long?
A number of years, probably 92, 93, 94.
Okay. When did
from 92 till September of 94.
So pretty much as soon as Dallas got canceled,
right.
You became a Buddha Singh.
I became a Singaporean street fighter, fire breather. Yeah.
Okay. So when did the first break come? When did the first thing that set you as you have millions of indie guys. Yeah,
right.
Shut your mouth. You got millions of indie guys out there, and these indie guys are out there making. I mean, you probably worked for $10 50 times, didn't get paid a lot of times, all that other crap.
Yeah.
All right. When did you get separated from indie guy to now you're the top guy on the indies, and then moving into, say, the WWF type thing?
Okay. I have to say, when I came back from Hugo Savinovich's company,
Right.
I started getting put in. Like,
Who was married to that Wendy Richter?
Wendy Richter, yeah. And Hugo with his briefcase full of toys.
Right.
Can't go any further than that, I'm not allowed.
Me neither.
When I came back from that, Larry was using, this is Larry who was Dennis Caluso's partner back then.
Right. What year are we talking now?
92, 93, 94.
Okay.
And,
So for this 3-year period,
yeah,
you're...
correct. And like Dennis still wanted, like how Dennis was in his later years. He had 3 dozen matches of ticket sellers.
Okay, you got to remember, right now, this is going to be
Still
shown...
trying to do chronological order.
Well, this is going to be shown to people pretty much all over the world, and a lot of people don't know who Dennis is. So,
Dennis Caluso actually at one time was probably one of the best indie promoters in New Jersey.
Right.
With Larry Sharp.
Right. Who also, was a friend of mine too.
Yeah, he's dead now. Rest his soul, poor guy. There, Fat Matt, watch out. All right, I'll get that later. And Dennis never really liked me because Larry always made sure I got paid. Like I would work down in Maryland and all these other places. I was lucky to get what I got,
right.
But Larry made sure I was paid. And then Tommy D started using me as a Buddha Singh, and I was getting paid I was getting paid better than I was with Larry, so Larry upped my pay. And then Dennis Caluso was always, trying to stick it to you. But at that point, when Tommy D started using me, and I worked the Boss Man, and I worked Bushwhackers, and I worked, Hacksaw Jim Duggan, and there's a whole story with that too. But before that, and then I got offered. Larry put me with Abdullah the Butcher. That was what did it, because I did all this. But then Larry pushed me with Abdullah the Butcher. He brought in Jerry Lawler to wrestle Abby, and I was upset. So Abby's one of my idols, and he's like, "Well, Buddha and Abdullah, it's the same." And I'm like, "All right, no problem. I'm not on the show though, right?" He goes, "No, but please make it if you can, please." He goes, "I'd like you to meet Abby. And maybe we can do something with you. Maybe." I'm like, all right. He goes, "Bring your gimmick, bring your fire." So he's not telling me what I'm going to do. So I take the night off from work. I got a real job this whole time. I work 70, 80 hours a week in the pizzeria, and cooking, delivering. Ah!
Fat Matt, you want to pick that up there, boy?
Matt, please, Mr. Lawyer, sir. Mr. Statutory Rape Man.
Try to get a shot at how difficult it is for Matt to bend down.
My pouch? I got like $15 to my life in here, Oh, there we go. Lister crack. Would you like some Lister crack?
I don't think so. I'm
This stuff
married.
is so
Doesn't matter if my breath's good or bad.
Yeah, this stuff's so addictive. Lister crack. So I take off to work. I go to the show. I meet, and I've met Lawler a couple times already. Because Dennis Clozo used to work with him a lot, and he'd invited me to go work for USWA, and he even told me straight out. He goes, "Look, I know that you have a real good job up here. They tell me you have a good job, so the money you make out here." He said, "I don't get me wrong. Like what he said was true. I did for a long time, '92, before I went to Puerto Rico. If I got $10, man, if I got $30, I was happy. I travel to Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania for $50, and I was
Well, we're gonna get to that stuff.
Yeah,
Just continue to this. Because we're gonna get
so
to that.
So I know Lawler, and he'd offered me the job, and I couldn't take it because he said, you're only gonna make like $40 a night. You're actually better off staying here. You're not gonna learn much from some of the guys we got right now. I'm like, all right, whatever. So I saw Jerry. I'm like, hey Jerry, good to see you again. He's like, hey kid, how you doing? I'm like, I'm doing good. And then of course here comes Abdul, and I've seen Abdul live a couple of times, and he was the first wrestler I was scared of. Like the first wrestler I saw live, I was like, Jesus, oh my God, and it was just amazing. So I walked up to Abdul, and I'm like, Mr. Butcher, sir, I don't know what, call me Abby, Chip. Abby, how you doing? Nice to meet you. Wrestlers are doing singing. He goes, oh, Chip, I know who you are. I'm like, what do you mean you know who I am? He goes, well, here's the thing. I didn't tell you that, huh? And I'm like, no. And he goes, well, see, I'm not really here to work Lawler, okay? I'm here to work you. I'm like, I'm not booked. And he's like, wait a second. He opens up the door and there's Larry Sharp going, hey, we got you. I'm like, oh, fucking Great River, I'm going to work. He goes, no, we're serious. We got you. We're going to use this. So what they did is, like, Dennis Corlew, Larry didn't want it. Larry just wanted the name for Abby to beat up. So Dennis is like, oh, let's bring in Lawler. She's big on Lawler. And, he's like, all right, well, Dennis, you're paying Lawler, I'm paying Abby, because Abby and Larry went back to Puerto Rico when Larry was working down there. So they're good friends. And still, to this day, they're good friends, And he goes, look, I'm going to job out Lawler within 3 to 4 minutes. He ain't getting a thing on me. And I'm like, okay. He goes, then they got this manager kid they got me here, this Tricky Nicky. And he goes, I'm going to gig him. And then you come out and spit your fire. I'm like, okay. And get in that ring, and we're just listening, and we're just gonna go. You know how to bleed? I'm like, yeah. And he goes, okay. He goes, get blood. I'll get blood. I'm like, this is after your match. He goes, well, it's not really much of a match. You're gonna ring the bell. I'm gonna beat him up. He ain't gonna get nothing. And then me and you are just gonna brawl. Everybody pulls apart. And basically what ended up happening is Lawler gets stuck in a corner. Abby's just got him by the throat, and he's bumps the ref, and then Lawler tries to get away. He hooks Lawler. Abby does have some martial arts experience, in fact, he's got that, like, master certification or something like that of, I think, Taekwondo back when he was younger days. He was like a 6 or 7 degree black belt in Taekwondo before he got the weight put on him. And when he hooks you, he doesn't say, okay, I'm going to reverse. He goes, watch the champ, I'm switching. And you're like, huh? And you're in a wall, you don't know what's going on. He's like, And so he gigs Nicky, and he actually, Abby did one of his famous Abdullah gaffes. Right. And he told the kid, he goes, listen, no matter what you do, don't jerk your head back. So he goes like this to him, right here, and Nicky goes, boom, and he got cut from here to here. Oof. And it actually required like 80-something stitches. The good story of that though was every time Abdullah came anywhere from Maryland up, Nicky got to manage him and got $200 a night. So actually it worked out good for Nicky. And so basically me and Abby just go back and forth. They send the whole locker room out. We bump the whole locker room, get back in touch with each other. They pull us apart. We get to each other again. Then Larry comes out, and Larry gets a shot on him, and then he books the match for the following month. Because Lawler and Abby did 650 people, and this is how I knew them. This is what I knew, because they did 650, and that was good for Larry. But it wasn't good for me because the biggest house Larry had in Clementon was me and the boss man at like almost 1,000 people, and for that's like. I was like, oh, wow, I drew Abdullah and Lawler. Well, we came back with Abby, we did 1,300 people, just me and Abdullah. And that's when I knew. That's when I knew. I was like, okay, maybe I have something. You know, maybe this really will.
Right.
I can make a living at this. Maybe I can even get rich at this.
And when did you finally? Okay, now you're working with Abdullah. You're working on the Corluzzo shows with Larry Sharp.
Tommy D.
The Tommy D shows. We'll get into that type of stuff.
Right.
But
Next.
what propelled you to the next level?
What propelled me to that?
Here, after you're doing these indies.
Yeah.
Okay, you're doing the indies, and we're going to go back and talk about, what promoters screwed you in the end.
Yeah,
We'll go back to the previous.
Yeah, we'll give that.
But when did you take that next step? This is what I've been asking you for like 30 minutes.
I told you after I wrestled out. So I did this thing with Abby.
You did the thing with Abby.
Abby gets me a job for Puerto Rico.
Right.
For Carlos Colon.
Right.
And that lasted 6 weeks.
Right. How was the pay? Best pay you ever had.
We'll get back to that.
Okay.
Okay. When Abby.
So they screwed you.
Yes.
Okay.
Bad.
So we'll get back.
When Abby went down with me, Abby sent Larry with me the first week. And then the 6th week, Abby came in. It was supposed to be me and Abby versus Invader and Carlos. That's how the run was supposed to be set up, where I was being put in the first match with Pogorcito. I got paid $400 in 6 weeks.
Right.
I went down. I was still lifting at this point.
What were you supposed to get paid?
$400 a week.
$400 a week.
And it cost me $200 a week to live in this efficiency that works with.
And
the
again,
office.
that's a typical indie story.
Yeah, and this is typical Puerto Rico's. This is the typical Carlos Colon.
Right.
But I mean, the stupid part about me is not having money at all. I have no way home. Like a lot of people, they like I know guys that went down there after 2 or 3 weeks to get home. I had no way to get home.
Right.
I had no return tickets. I'm stuck there.
So how'd you get home?
Abdullah bought me a plane ticket. When he came down and saw me, because I was lifting. I was a natural lifter. I was just a young kid.
Now how old are you now?
Jesus, 1994.
That's 8 years ago.
That's 8 years ago. I was.
You're like
22.
22, okay. You're 22, you're supposed to get paid $400 a week for 6 weeks.
I'm making, actually $400 a week I moved down there. I brought all my stuff.
All right. So when he gives you $400 and that's all you get paid?
No, he didn't even do that. I didn't get paid my first week.
Okay.
I didn't get paid my second week. Then he handed me $100.
Okay. Well, let me ask you a question. You don't get paid the first week.
Yeah.
You don't get paid the second week. Does a bell ring in your head that something's not right here after 2 weeks?
Yeah, big time.
Okay. What do you do?
There's nothing I can do. I'm on an island. There's no.
Well, do you call your mommy? Do you call somebody? I would have called my mommy and have her come pick me up.
I call my mommy and come pick me up and say, "Mommy, I'm fucking starving here. My mom ain't got no money, and I ain't crying to her. Fuck,
All right. So now, all right. So it's 2 weeks. You don't say anything to him, right? Then you have week number 3.
And I get $100.
You get $100.
And I get back to the efficiency.
How are you eating now? 3 weeks. How are you even eating?
Well, when Larry left me with, I went down with 150.
Right.
Larry left me with $100.
All right, so it's $250 to feed yourself on 3 weeks. Fat Matt over there eats that much in one day.
Oh, yeah. Oh, well, now, Jesus, you spend that a week in the
Of course, yeah.
But, I was getting a whole chicken, a whole, 4 or 5 pound fryer.
And in Mexico, they're alive. Or Puerto Rico, whatever the hell it is.
Puerto Rico, 4 or 5.
You're just grabbing these chickens off the street.
Yeah, right. No, 4 or 5 pound fryer in Puerto Rico costs $20.
Right.
The chicken, it's just so
So
horrible.
3 weeks. 3 weeks, $100.
3 weeks.
Week 4.
150.
Week 5.
50.
6.
Abby got him to give me 50.
Okay, and so then Abdullah buys you tickets to go home.
Abby actually says, we're not taking this, and they book the match, me and Carlos. We'll come back to that.
Right.
Abby buys me a ticket to come home, and I'm ready to quit.
Okay.
That was it. I had it.
You're ready to quit wrestling?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
you come home.
Yeah.
What makes you change your mind? What makes you say, I still want to do this?
Well, I was still doing indies, but I'm figuring I'm just going to do it. And I was I'm just going to work. And the pizzeria, I could have got my job back at the pizzeria, but I ended up getting a job as a bouncer in a club, a summer club by my house, where I basically turned myself into a full-blown alcoholic. I was drunk every day. I literally, from the time I got the job until the time I left for Smoky Mountain, I was drunk every
Did you drink much before?
Party,
But this is, now what, so what made you become like a degenerate drunk?
I was just depressed, I didn't think.
Because of the wrestling?
Because of the wrestling.
So Carlos basically, Carlos Colon,
Carlos Colon,
over
man,
6 weeks, totally destroyed
totally
everything.
destroyed me, man. Totally destroyed me. I mean, I gave up a $780 a week job, plus the money I make on Indies.
Right.
A lot of respect I got up. You know, I'm building this name. This name is a good young worker, a respectful guy. You know, and I go down there.
And are you down there as a Buddha Singh?
Same gimmick. They
Right.
just changed it to Dara Singh because
Okay.
they had a Buddha Dean working down there,
Right.
and it was too close to him, and I'm not related. So when I came home, I was just depressed, and my
You're
girlfriend-
drunk. You were drunk.
Well, I couldn't drink down there at all. So when Abby came down, he saw me, and I lost 70 pounds
Right.
in 6 weeks. I lost 70 pounds of body weight. I was like 250 pounds, and like this. And I had no
Right.
arms, no chest, no legs. I was just this. So I got
Not the physical marvel that we're used to seeing.
Jesus. That's why that's why I was always so heavy with the rest of my
Right.
career, because I would never.
You'll never allow
myself
yourself to.
starve.
Yeah, same thing. All right, now let's jump out of order now.
Okay.
You're already I guess you're a fairly big name. You know, me,
Sort of.
you know,
On
me,
the indie circuit.
even
On the
though
indie circuit,
even though
yeah.
I'm the mass
Wait a minute,
maniac.
right now, you mean?
No. Look, here I am, the mass maniac,
Okay.
greatest mass wrestler of all time. Been smacked around by every big name wrestler there is on the indies. Headbutted by Jimmy Snuka, kicked in the face by Jimmy Snuka, smacked around by King Kong Bundy.
Ooh.
When I met you 3 years ago, I had no idea what Balls Mahoney is because I didn't watch ECW.
Right.
So we're going to say you're a fairly big name at the time. When you finally became Balls Mahoney, okay, what the hell did you do to Carlos Colon? Did you do anything?
Oh yeah.
What'd you do?
Well, I actually got Carlos before I left.
Okay, so when did you finally get your
The last night.
revenge on Carlos
Well, the
Colon?
last night, Abby convinced him to give me $50 so I could live another week.
Right.
Got a buddy of his to have an SUV ready outside. We got our gimmicks on. All our clothes. I'm already packed up at the hotel.
Right.
All our clothes are in the car. I get handcuffed to the invader, connected by a chain across the ring like this with barbed wire wrapped around it.
Right.
And Abby and Carlos are brawling around the building. And, you know, invader, and now it's double whammy, too, now, because I'm in the ring with the guy who killed my idol, you know? And Abby told me, he goes, when I give you the signal, do it. I said, all right. And I saw Abby cuts him off, hooks him, looks at me, goes like this. I'm selling for brother. He's hit me with the little gimmick. I take the gimmick, I stick it right. He's got like just basically a spoon that he taped up. I take it, stick it right in his throat. I actually had a pair of handcuff keys. I unhandcuffed myself. I shackle him from that across the chain this way to the barbed wire, and literally just start measuring right hands and beat the living fuck out of him. And 5 punches broke a bunch of bones in his face. And then as Abby's going, come on, champ, that's it, I went after Carlos. And he's going, no, because Carlos just owed him money, and he was pissed off. He didn't want to burn bridges. He figured and I went after Carlos, grabbed a hold of him, gave him one shot that knocked him flat out. He was unconscious. And I busted it. You ever see Godfather?
I've heard of that movie.
You know, that one, the first shot when I hit Carlos,
Right.
whoop, you saw that blood flow, just like. And I went to start kicking him, and Abby, grabbed me by the throat and drove me out, got me in the car, and goes, you can't do that to me, I'm getting you out of here. I'm like, I know, I'm sorry, I'm crying, I'm hysterical. I'm like, never mind, I'm out of this. I'm done. He goes, no, champ, I'll wrestle you, I'll come back, don't worry, we'll get you to Japan. I'm like, bro, I'm fucking 250 pounds, I'm never gonna,
Right.
fuck, I mean, the guy got me off the island alive,
Right.
I mean,
What we're going to do is, I'm going to go inside. I have common diarrhea. We're going to go take care of my common diarrhea. Then we're going to come back and finish the story. We're not going to film the common diarrhea. My diarrhea is clearing up a little bit.
Was it solid running?
Diarrhea pours out. All right, now what we were talking about before was the end of your 6 weeks where you got only $400. You got in the ring, punched Carlos Colon in the face. Abby bought your ticket, you hopped back.
Right. Got the
Now,
job in the barn, turned into a lush.
you turned into a lush, you're a drunken piece of garbage.
Still working Indies, though.
When did you snap out and take the next step?
Chris, Chris Candido had come home. Chris was working for Smoky Mountain.
Right.
And he'd come home for vacation to see his family. And he came and saw me. He came to the house, came to the pizzeria. I was working part-time at the pizzeria, but I ended up being such a drunk that I got fired. You know, I was the best cook they had. So
right.
And so he's like, look, just give me a tape. Give me the tape of your cage match with Teddy Petty. I missed a leg drop off the top of the cage. And he's like, I'll give it to Cornette. So I'm like, all right, whatever. Yeah, I'm like, yeah, sure, fine. Oh, yeah, I'll go down and work. I don't care at this point, you know. I really didn't. I'm just like, okay. Because Chris was trying to help me out, you know. It's just like he sees this, you know, a big guy, you know, one of his best friends. He knows he can count me for anything still to this day, you know. And I was going through a rough patch, and I get a call like 4 days later from Jim Cornette going, that was the damnedest bump I ever saw in my goddamn life. I cannot believe it. You 330-pound man come off the top of the cage, and I mean, you're working with that cheetah kid. I mean, ain't that great? But man, it shows you covered up. And I'm like, who is this? You know? And he's like, oh, Jesus, oh, look, yeah, I want to use you, and but I can't call you Buddha. Say, I know the gimmick you're doing. Look, I got this gimmick for you. You're gonna be kissing Tammy's like retarded. Homeless friend that he gives, like, you know, like the whole gimmick.
Right.
And your name is good. You ever read that Kill 'Em All? I go, I'm going to be Boo Radley. He goes, well, Jesus Christ, you got a brain too. Yeah, but you're going to be Boo Bradley. I'm like, sounds good, fine. I mean, at this point, I didn't care. I'm like, all right,
okay. And where is it? Smoky Mountain?
Smoky Mountain. So I go down there.
Now, where is Smoky Mountain?
That was run out of East Tennessee. We ran Tennessee, Kentucky, North Carolina, South Carolina, Virginia, West Virginia. Just that whole loop.
Right.
And
how long were you down there for?
Full year. Moved down there for a year.
Okay. How was it?
It was probably what was the biggest turning point ever for me.
Okay. Now, what did it turn into?
It turned into the Santa Claus for WWF.
Okay.
But it developed me into a complete worker.
Right.
You know, you learned everything.
Right.
You know, I learned more in that year than I have ever.
Okay. Yeah. Now the year's up. You become who?
3 months later, I get a call from working in a gas station. Now I'm doing Indies, and I get a call from Bruce Pritchard,
right,
saying, "Look,
who does what?" Okay, but
he's also office boy.
WWF.
Talent relations.
So WWF talent relations
calls me at the gas station.
Right.
And says, "Look, we want to do this gimmick with you. We'd like to set up a meeting with you. When can you come up here?" I'm like, "Well, would you like me up there?" He goes, "Well, when are you working again?" I'm like, "That depends on when you want me up for the meeting." Right. And he's like, because basically what he says is, "Look, we're going to sign you for 2 years.
Right. We're
going to give you this Christmas-like gimmick. It'll probably last anywhere from 3 days to 3 months. Maybe we'll blow you off at WrestleMania. Then we'll keep you under contract. We'll keep you under a gimmick, blah, 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 blah." I'm like, "Oh, all right." And I'm like, "I'll be there tomorrow. What time?" He's like, "Don't you have to work?" I go, "I'll take care of it. Don't worry." And he's like, "Okay." And he's like, "Be here at this time." I'm like, "Okay." And of course, my boss at the time was like kind of a wrestling thing. He's like, "Oh, so what was that about?" I go, "Tom, thanks, but quit." And I got up and walked home. I just left.
So you screwed the gas station guy?
Oh, I just walked out. The other guy's a big cokehead anyway. He lost the gas station to a bunch of Pakistani fucking terrorist people. Anyway.
All right, so you go to WWF.
Yeah.
What's your character?
The evil Santa Claus.
What's it called?
Santa Claus.
And what happens?
They give me the 3 dates.
Right.
I see the outfit they give me.
Now, do they sign you for a year?
They sign me for 2 years.
2 years?
2-year contract.
A lot of money?
No guaranteed money whatsoever. It's all based on percentages and this and that. You're guaranteed $50 10 times a year.
Okay.
That's the minimum guarantee.
Okay.
But pretty much the contract is signed everybody.
Okay.
What happens there is I do the 3 days, and then right before Christmas itself, 2 days before Christmas, I get the phone call from J.J. Dillon. "Oh, well, the character's not going to work out, you know, blah, 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 blah." So I'm like, "What, are you letting me go? You fire me?" And he's like, no. What we're saying is, like, we're going to, you know, go to character development, want to keep you under contract, put you on payroll. I'm like, okay. And do I still get to wrestle? Because at this point now, I'm bragging, I want to wrestle. You know, I'm out of shape. I'm really out of shape.
Right.
You know, and I'm like, the only way I know how to get in shape, like I can lift, but if I'm not wrestling, if I'm not throwing out, I mean, you know how hard I work.
Yes.
That's what I love to do. You know, I like to fish. I'm not gonna, you know, maybe when I'm 70, I can make a living running fluke charters, but I'm a worker. You know, I work hard at any job I've ever
We
had.
figured that out, like, for the past 5 minutes when you've been saying it.
Okay.
Okay, there's only so much tape we
Right.
have
Sorry.
here. And Fat Matt's eating his hand.
Sorry, Fat Matt. So basically, quickly, he tells me you can work on indies if you get booked through our office and only as Santa Claus, so you probably won't wrestle for 6 months to a year. I'm like, how much am I going to get paid? And he's like, well, we don't know yet. I'm like, what do you mean you don't know yet? I'm like, when do I get paid for the pay-per-view? I need my money. And he's like, well, that's maybe 3-4 months. I'm like, that's not going to work. You know, I mean, what am I supposed to do? Am I supposed to go get a job now? You know, I can go get a job anywhere. He goes, well, no, you can't work. You're under contract with WWF. I'm like, well, then I can't be under contract with WWF. You know, and this is right when JJ was on his way out then, too. And, you know, this is when WCW started pulling talent and everything. And,
right.
You know, JJ was on his way out back to you know, and it wasn't just me who got this shaft. And so basically what happened was I did a mutual contract, which said there was no heat. You know, I was like, I don't want heat, but I can't not make money.
Right.
You know, and you're not telling me how much I'm going to make a week, but I'm supposed to accept this and just sit at home and not get paid. You know, I mean, tell me what I'm going to make a week.
So you were a WWF superstar for how long?
3 days.
For 3 days.
Superstar.
Okay.
But like I do a pay-per-view. My first night is a pay-per-view, and I'm in a character on pay-per-view.
Okay.
You know, then I do Raw taping, and then I do the Saturday morning taping that Tuesday night. And both matches, of course, they put me over in. They didn't come up with a finish till me for Saturday, till the Saturday taping, and because they asked, well, what do you want to do for a finish? I'm like, I don't know. I do the splash off the top. I can do a leg off the top. Call it a chimney buster or something. I'm like, well, I go, nobody does a submission right now. How about we do the camel clutch? Call it a sleigh ride. And they're like, oh, no. Well, I'm like, oh, DiBiase's my manager. How about I just power slam him tonight? I do a good power slam. He goes, okay, that sounds good. And who did the job for me? For Monday Night Raw. Who did the job? Scotty, too hotty.
What the hell do I know? I don't watch that crap.
Scotty Riggs.
I'm the masked maniac.
Of all people, Scotty Riggs is the one who did the job to Santa Claus.
I hate to break this to you, but Scotty Riggs is not Scotty Too
Well,
Hotty.
not Scotty Riggs. Scotty Too Hotty.
So you know your wrestling.
Well, Scotty Riggs did the job to Boo Bradley.
All right. 3-day WWF career. How much money you make?
$9,000.
You make $9,000. Okay.
Yeah.
So far, that's more than you've made your whole wrestling career.
Well, no, I did all right, but I did a couple years more than that. But that was the most I ever made for like that kind of work. You know,
Okay.
I was like, Jesus.
Did you ever meet Vince McMahon?
Yes.
Okay. What did he say to you?
I met him years ago doing jobs. That was the only job where he actually ever like would shake hands with and say, "Good work, son. Keep working."
Okay. When you were.
When I met him, I didn't even meet him when I signed my contract.
Okay.
I met him the night of the pay-per-view, and he goes, "Here's what we have in mind." Oh, by the way, I'm Vince. I go, "Well, hello, Don. Nice to meet you. Pleasure." I'm not bringing up being a jobber, and he's
Right.
like, you know, we'd like to do this, and this. And I'm like, sounds fine to me. He goes, well, do you have any input? I'm like, well, I don't think I should hit him with the bag and knock him down since I'm going to be hanging. You know, basically,
Right.
He's like, well, that's a good idea. He goes, well, what would you like to do? I'm like, well, I can do any number of things. I can clothesline him, power slam him, super kick him, but Shawn Michaels is finished.
Right.
He's like, well, how about you hit him with the thing, turn around, clothesline him, pick him back up, slam him, let Ted lay the boots to him, you give him a boot, you guys take off, and, you know. I'm like, okay. And he seemed like a nice guy. And the next night, and he loved the gimmick. He goes, that was great. Yeah, I think it's something he wanted to do for years. The second night, he was a look, you're not going to be on TV. But I was George Steele's boy. George Steele was like supposed to teach me all. You know,
Right.
like that was my agent.
Right.
But when you're up there, you have 20 different agents telling you 20 different things that you can or cannot do.
Right.
Well, I'm only supposed to listen to one, but I don't know this. I know that I got everybody who I used to listen to when I worked up there telling me, no. Basically, my offense was punch. My first match, my offense was punch, kick, clothesline, and power slam. That was all I was allowed to do.
Right.
For my first TV match. And then the second night, George Steele comes up and goes, I got your finish in front of everybody. It's a great idea. I go, okay. He goes, you're going to do the camel clutch and you're going to call it the sleigh ride. I'm like, really? That sounds familiar. And he goes, what do you mean? I'm like, oh, never mind. You know, and I was like, well, yeah, I'm like, let me guess. I'm going to call it the reindeer's name. He goes, how'd you guess? I'm like, all right. You know, I see how this is going to last. You know. So that's why I was, you know, and then so we did the mutual contract release. I got my money 2 weeks later. I was really happy with that. But I also get a phone call from Candido going, You better look at the Observer and the Lariat
And those are the sheets.
the sheets.
Those are the things that tell all.
That tell all, ruin careers, and get people to say stupid shit. The Observer basically said reports are that John Reckner, Boo Bradley was producing, was it was a mutual release, but there was also rumors that he wasn't well liked in the locker room by the office members due to his coarse behavior and supposed drinking, which this reporter finds very, very unlikely, as this is all this man has wanted to do. So Meltzer stuck up for me.
Right.
Whereas Wade fucking Keller, you piece of shit motherfucker, puts on his thing, and I know for a fact that this is true, that he was drinking in the locker room and spit at Vince McMahon. I mean, the shit he wrote about me, and he never even met me. You fucking piece. I'm still gonna come to your house and rape your fucking mother, stick a black dildo this fucking far in your sister's ass while you're nailed to the fucking wall, crucified upside down, motherfucker, all right? I'm still gonna get you.
That does not sound like a pleasant evening.
Well, so now I'm bitter at the business again.
Okay, do you, any idea why you never got re-signed again? Any idea why WWF has never had interest?
I did call.
Or why they
I
never
did
asked you
find
back?
out that the guy who put that story out was Vince Russo, and I got on the phone with Vince Russo. I called up and told him, where's the heat? What did I do? I'd like to know. And they bouncing around. Vince Russo, well, I was the one in charge of it. I'm like, who the fuck are you to do something like that? When you goddamn well know I didn't do anything like that. Go fuck yourself. And I hung up.
Good.
So that was probably why I didn't go back to WWF at that point, you know?
All right, after that, what happens? You're out of the WWF, you're depressed again.
I meet.
Now what? Are you back to being? Are you still drunk?
No. Now I'm wrestling full time.
Are you wrestling full time?
I'm wrestling full time.
Where are you wrestling full time?
I'm wrestling at every goddamn indie you can fucking find. Every single one. From West Virginia to Maine, New York. I mean, I'm driving it all too.
Right.
But most of the shows are for this guy named Tom Casati.
Zip that camera toward me, folks.
Tom Casati kept me in the bed. Hey, you know what?
He might have kept it. Let me tell you, not to say anything bad. Tom Casati is the quintessential Mark.
Oh yeah.
He's
worse than anyone. He's worse than the worst fan out there.
Tom Casati would set a. He didn't do this, but he's the type of guy that would book 20 big name guys for a show, and then you'd go to the building, and there would be no show. They never heard of anybody, and he would pay all the wrestlers.
Yeah. See, what happened was...
So everybody would be his friend.
What happened was, basically, for a couple months, I worked these indies for as much as I could get, and I'm getting by, and my girl's yelling at me to get a job, and I said, fuck you, I'm going to do this. This is what I'm doing from now on. You don't like it, get the fuck out, or I'm leaving, because we're living at my mom's house at this point, you know? And I really don't give a shit right then, and she went through a lot of shit. She's a good girl. She went through a lot of shit. But Tom Casati comes around, and a couple people, Tom Brandy, he's like, look, you know, he goes, I know you got fucked by him before, but listen, just say yes, okay? He's gonna pay. And so what ended up happening is I ended up getting that guy Wild Bill, you know, my buddy Bill, he's in the band now, Boogaloo Bill, Bill Miss Wesley, whatever you want to call him, from ECW, one of my best friends in the whole world. Now he wants to learn to wrestle. I want to teach him back when we were 20, so I was like, all right. I was like, look, if you're going to bring me into these shows, I need him to drive for me because I lost my license for point violations a couple times. So I need a rental car, and I need, because, well, I got you working 2 shows. I got you working a show on Thursday, a show on Friday, 2 shows on Saturday, 2 shows on Sunday, bro. I'm like, okay, I need $300 a shot. And I need my rental car paid for, I need the hotel paid for, I need to pick up food. He goes, no problem. And I go, I need Bill to come down. He goes, well, if he works, he'll get $150. If he doesn't work, he'll get $50 a day. $50 a show. Okay, and this is every weekend. So I'm working a minimum up at that point until the end of this period of time.
All right, so you're being supported by some fat guy who got money from his mother.
Mark Cusati is stealing money from his mother, paid me about $1,200 a week. But I'm still bitter at the business. So the $1,200, $1,300, $1,400, $1,500, $1,600, sometimes $2,000 a week I'm getting is getting spent in the bar.
All right,
and I'm
cool.
coming home paying the bills.
All right. Before we get into ECW, I'm going to ask you about a couple guys. You tell me what you think. Okay?
You want honest?
Give me complete honesty on how you feel about these guys. But let's not let it drag out for like 6 hours. Which 6 hours is as long as it takes for Matt Kaufman to put his underwear on.
Okay.
Cactus Jack.
Nice guy. Was first hardcore guy to really make. He was the only hardcore guy to make the big transition, I think. Overrated. I hate to say this because this is probably not going to be maybe too happy with a lot of people, but my fans understand this. That I've compared a lot to him, and I don't like to think the comparison's fair because.
Then I better stop because that's what I always do.
Well, he lived. Well, no, it's all right because.
Why always say you're better?
That's the thing.
I always say better.
The toughness factor and this and that, but he had to rely on falling off the apron onto his back on the floor every night, whereas I can get in the ring and do after all this years of doing it, I can do any kind of style of wrestling. So I think he was overrated, but you know what? The fans overrated him. He was the smart fans, glory boy. But I'll tell you what, man, not a nicer guy in the business, not a nicer guy I could wish to make money, and I feel so bad for him that he's hurt. I like the way he is. But great guy.
Chris Candido.
Best friend in the whole world.
Bam Bam Bigelow.
Part 3 of the Jersey Click. Me, Chris, and Bammer. Bammer's great. Bammer is actually the guy who was like the guy I pushed myself to try to better.
Right.
Because Bammer was the first super heavyweight. Because I was a 350-pound guy all the time,
right.
And Bammer's a 400-pound guy.
Right.
Now he's really looking good.
Right, 310.
Yeah, he's
let me see. So 2002.
We're way the same now.
Hold on, no. 2002. Balls Mahoney, Chris Candido, Bam Bam Bigelow, and who's the fourth member?
That's me.
Don't forget it.
That's me.
Ring rentals, $800.
There you go.
We all come along with the deal, but we're not all coming along for $800.
No, we can all come along, but you have to
And
book us
by the
all
way,
to work.
it's the ECW pay-per-view ring.
Yeah, it's seriously, it's the ring.
That's right.
Soon to be opening, hopefully, a school, the Chris Candido Bam Bam Balls Mahoney Wrestling School. Ain't gonna have a better wrestling school than that ever in the history of the world.
Dennis Corluzzo.
Dennis, strange individual. Dennis was
Excuse me.
For a long time there, I was one of his boys. He was one of the first brothers to ever really book me on a solid basis. But towards the end there, once Larry broke off with him and he had no one to tell him no, he went a little nuts. And, would book me for X amount of dollars to wrestle like Ian Rotten. I got my nose broken and 65 stitches over my body. And I was supposed to get Abdullah's pay, so I was taking Abdullah's spot, and he hands me $150. I'm like, you're kidding me. Then he books me on 3 other shows. I show up, he goes, what are you doing here? I'm like, you booked me? You dick, And so, I'm sorry the guy's dead, but you know what? I thank him for what he did for me early on, but what he did to me afterwards, he can go fuck himself. I hope he burns in hell. And when I come down, when I'm in hell, don't worry, it's going to be worse for you.
Michael Bryan.
That little fuck, why don't he book me? Why don't he book me no more? You know what?
I live in a very expensive area here.
Oh, Michael Bryan, Mike, why don't you book me? Man, you had nobody. You know who your draw was when you first started running? Was a Buddha Singh versus Tony DeVito. And we worked our asses off for you. We packed 1,500 fans into each high school gym, and then when you have Ahmed Johnson versus whoever, when you have me wrestle Rikishi, we do 1,500 fans. You bring Tony DeVito in there, we do 1,500 fans. As soon as my match is done, everybody leaves, and you don't book me. And now you're driving Jerry Lawler around, or whatever. Hey, good for Lawler, man. Lawler, I don't care what you do. Lawler's the king. Lawler's probably, I consider, the best worker in the business ever. Full worker. Besides from Flair, Lawler is. But, man, Mike, you're a moron. I like you, but you're a moron.
Ted DiBiase.
I thought Ted was one of the most talented wrestlers of his time. That's all I can say about him. Nice guy.
Savio Vega.
Savio Vega is probably one of my most favorite opponents, and now he's my favorite person, one of my favorite people to work for. IWA is basically his company, along with Victor Quinones, but he's like the main booker there, at least my booker. I'll be seeing him in 12th, 13th, 14th of July. By that time, this videotape, this will already happen. I'm wrestling Terry Funk down there. I love him. Savio's a great guy.
Terry Funk.
The reason that when I'm 60, I'm still going to be doing frog splashes and moonsaults and barbed wire and still working. Terry Funk is the reason the madness is going to continue and the baptized will rule for 50 years.
Iron Sheik.
Oh, fuck needs to be said about the Iron Sheik. All you need for You want entertainment. You bring Iron Sheik in for the weekend. Just, maybe not even to wrestle. Just go to ring with, the boys, hang out in locker room, maybe a little gimmick, little medicine, and that's all I have to say. Iron Sheik is number one. Not Iron Sheik.
Sandman.
Sandman, and this sounds messed up coming from a guy like me, Sandman actually has a great mind, and I'm telling you, it kills me to say this, when he actually has a great mind for finishes and the wrestling business. And if he would let him, and when he was getting into shape, he was developing himself in a worker, he was really getting good, and he just likes to party too much, but I like him. I can't hate Sandman. It's hard to hate Sandman, it really is.
Louis Spicoli.
Fucking waste. Utter waste. First match of Barely Legal was me and Louis Spicoli.
The opening match.
Opening match, a dark match, and it was arguably, from the fans' point of view, the best match, and the Sheik's point of view, the best match on the card was me and Louis Spicoli, and that was a waste. Man, it's such a shame.
Masato Tanaka.
The best Japanese worker, I think, in the history of the business. The best, had my best single matches against Masato Tanaka in ECW. I would give my career up if I could work against Masato Tanaka in the main event in Madison Square Garden. I could happily retire if I could main event with Masato in the sellout crowd of Madison Square Garden.
Axel Rotten.
No comment.
Let it pick up its jack.
Actually, we should pick this up.
No.
No, I can't.
No, we're not going to pick this up. Yeah.
Axel Rotten, really, honestly, right now, no comment. I mean, that's the best thing I can say. And you know what? Your mom always used to say.
Yeah, you don't have anything good to say, don't say it.
No comment.
Okay, Spike Dudley.
Spike Dudley, probably the toughest wrestler in this entire industry. And most deserving. I cannot believe that guy gave up an English teaching job to get thrown through flaming tables. Great tag team partner. I held the tag belts with him on 2 separate occasions. I wish Spike would win the world title of the whole thing, man. Spike's deserving of whatever Spike gets, and I wish him nothing but love and the best.
Big Dick Dudley.
Man, you really know how to really fuck somebody
Hey,
up today.
one of my best friends in the whole world.
I know. Out of all the friends I've lost in this business, Dick was the first person's wake I went to, because I always was working. I have never missed a night off, except for the time I had 30 guns. That still, I can't really talk about it yet.
Fair to say, if you had to get into if you were in a street fight,
Big Dick.
would he be the one you would not want to be against?
In a street fight?
Yeah. If you knew Big Dick Dudley
I
was
do
going
know
to lose it, if you knew he was going to lose it and you were his target, is he the one person you would not want to be standing across from?
No.
Because he's the one person.
No,
Let me tell you, because I'll tell you, I would mouth off to anybody, and if it came down to it, I'd put my hands on anybody. I would not ever cross the line with. No, I don't know him at all.
See, that's the thing.
Yeah, I don't know him at all.
I'd have to say.
Not at all.
I'd have to say the 3 most dangerous people in professional wrestling, and this probably is not arguably. This is probably true. New Jack, Big Dick Dudley, and the man sitting next to the Masked Maniac. I do have a reputation. I did.
Oh, you?
Yeah.
I thought Willie came back out.
Willie too. Well, how do you argue with the boss, man?
Okay. What's your opinion of the Dudleys?
Good tag team, great gimmick. Bubba's improvement from the time he got into ECW, into the time he got in the ring with me, from the time that, because you gotta remember, the Dudleys, they weren't the eliminators, that improved them a lot, but there was a lot of abuse given towards the Dudleys then in the schools.
All right, well, right now you have Bubba Ray and Devon.
Devon, right.
And they're big WWF stars.
Yeah.
You think, because I'm a friend of Big Dick's, you're a friend of Big Dick's, you think Alex got screwed? You think Big Dick Dudley got screwed?
Big Dick, Sign Guy, and Joel Gertner got screwed.
Okay.
Yes. Well, but again, it comes down, now see, 5 years ago, I would have probably have been like Big Dick. I wouldn't have signed a contract that would have excluded the guys I was with then.
Right.
But now, if like me and Axel were still tagging,
you might not have a choice.
Contract, well, even if Axel was still 100% or whatever, now it's, I'm 30 years old now, man.
Yeah.
I need money.
That's right.
Like, I make a good living. I don't make a great living. I make a good living, but,
Yeah. I understand.
Business-wise, I understand.
I understand that Bubba and Devon had to go.
Had no choice.
Of course, this is what they work for.
Right.
The thing is, Big Dick's feelings, and you know him and I know him, are that they just, Devon, that Bubba just stopped calling him.
Yeah, like business, see, that's the thing. Business-wise, all right, he got screwed, but friendship-wise,
That's right.
Yeah,
I mean, business-wise, both of them deserve to go to WWF.
Because whenever you got to the shows, Devon showed up, and then Dick and Bubba showed up.
Right.
They would just travel together,
Absolutely.
together. And then, it's not only does Dick not go with them, but then
there's no more phone
There's
calls.
no more phone calls.
There's no more phone calls.
I mean, even shit. I mean, I know how busy, like, Van Damme is up there. Me and Van Damme had, at my last 2 years in ECW, Jesus Christ, some of the matches we had.
Right.
And still to this day, Van Damme's, like, one of my greatest proponents, He still loves talking about me. I hear stuff, good stuff, like promoters over in California, like, yeah, Rob Van Dam put us over to.
Yeah, I haven't heard any of that. New Jack.
Craziest mother in wrestling. Craziest, sickest. Thank God he's my friend.
Tommy Dreamer.
I like Tommy. I like Tommy. Tommy takes a lot of heat because he was kind of like Paul's hatchet boy, and not his hatchet boy, but he was in like a difficult position.
Right.
And
he was the scapegoat.
Yeah, he was the scapegoat. He's a lot of guys a scapegoat. I actually like Tommy because I tell you what, and you know this, I was out of anybody in that company, at the end of that company when that went under, I was the only wrestler that was not, and I wasn't under contract in ECW. Everything was a handshake. I was the only wrestler that was not owed 1 day's wrestling pay. I was on a nightly deal, and at the end of the show, from every time I worked for Paulie, I was paid. And the person that made sure that I was paid and I got my checks and that my checks were good was Tommy Dreamer. So I have nothing but good things, and I hope nothing but good things happen to Tommy.
Raven.
Raven got me my job in ECW. And he gave me the name. Actually, Raven came up with Balls Mahoney.
Oh.
But of course, it was in Raven's twisted mind. It wasn't Balls, let's let John be John and call him Balls Mahoney. It was, hey, let's make him a gay sadomasochistic biker named Balls Mahoney and make him look like the Village People.
Is that how you started in ECW, as a gay biker?
Look at the Village People and the biker guy. That's what they wanted me to be. They didn't want me to grow the mustache. I said, nah, I ain't doing that. I'll grow a beard. I ain't doing that.
All right, we'll get to that in a sec.
Yeah.
Steve Carino. Be
I
honest.
like Steve. To be honest, the worst decision I ever made in wrestling was saying no to Fred Durst. I should have just let him hit me, and I should have badmouthed the shit out of him and let him hit me in the head with a chair like he wanted to. But I said, no, I'm a baby face. Let's get Carino in here to do it. And of course, Axel hears about it, and he's got to get his shit involved, goes down there and gets thrown out of the locker room. New Jack got involved, which was great because they had Method Man on stage, and Method Man was running around with us, and his posse was going, New Jack Balls, New Jack Balls. But the worst thing I ever did, Carino, and it helped make you, and you better admit this, is if you never would, Steve Carino would never have been Steve Carino, the king of old school, the ECW champion, if it wasn't for me saying no to Fred Durst. No, Fred, you're not hitting me in the head with a chair. You don't know how to do it, but I do know a guy we can get who's perfect to badmouth the music, and I can come out and make a save, and you can get a shot on him, and it's Steve Carino. And at that point, Steve Carino in the company was used like shit. Nobody liked him, and a lot of guys in the company didn't like him. Paulie wasn't sold on him still, even though Paulie was sold on him, he could take a beating, and you're welcome.
Rob Van Dam.
I have to say, one of my top 3 favorite opponents so far in my career. I don't think that will ever change. That Rob Van Dam will definitely be either 1 or 2. I'm serious. For a long time, my top 3 opponents were Masato, Rob Van Dam, and Chris Candido. And so far, 3 out of my 4 best single matches ever are 3 out of 5 are Rob Van Dam, Masato Tanaka, and Chris Candido. So I just wish they'd fucking use him right and put the goddamn strap on him already. And
Right, Joey Styles.
what happened to Joey, man? That guy was the greatest commentator in the history of the wrestling business. I love Joey. Joey made sure when I was on TV, Joey made sure to put over the fact that I was more than a chair swing freak, which is the character, Balls Mahoney, the hardcore chair swing freak. Joey Styles, because I was doing these great matches, and on the house shows, I was the one that was going an hour every goddamn night. And on TVs, if I was getting time, I was getting, 3-4 minutes to watch someone with a chair. On pay-per-views, I'm doing 3-4 minutes. But Joey Styles always made sure to put me over. So, Joey, and I still think he's one of the best commentators ever. Why the hell haven't you picked up Joey? Why haven't you, WWE, screw me, why haven't you picked up Joey Styles? You can't use Joey Styles? Come on.
Boots the Cat.
Who?
Boots the Cat.
I hated that thing, man. It scratched the hell out of me.
Whatever happened to him?
That was Tammy's cat. I don't know whatever the hell happened to that thing. Hopefully it died a painful death, man. That boiler room thing, I had to hold it. It was scratching me, and I'm going to throw you a cat. Tammy's going, don't you hurt my cat. Man, that cat did not like
Tammy.
She's my sister. I love her.
Okay.
Unconditionally.
I'll give you a couple more easy ones, then we'll get to some tough ones.
Okay.
Steve DeAngelis.
I like Steve.
How was he as a promoter? Because Steve promoted you on some shows.
Yeah, I made good money on him. I can't complain. I mean, if Steve DeAngelis ran 20 times a year I could work for Steve DeAngelis and USA Pro Wrestling and be a happy man.
Very good. Fat Frank in Jersey All Pro.
Fat Frank. Which one's that?
The Bayonne. No, the ones in Bayonne.
Yeah, I know Jersey All Pro, but I know the one I only talk to really is the Nun.
Oh, yeah, I don't know him real well.
I know Ray because I broke his nose. I don't really know Fat Frank. I only worked for Jersey All Pro twice, and the last time I worked for him, me and Axel were against the Hit Squad. Actually, a good match.
Right.
Tell you what, I'm like Donnie B. He fucking paid me, so.
And what happened with Donnie?
Donnie called me up, goes, look, I got a show in 3 weeks. Or 3 or 4 weeks. I'd like to use you. I heard you're off. Sure, okay. Yeah, all right, I'll promote you. I'll give you 50, 75 bucks. I think you're going to do what? Well, it's only 20 minutes from your house, but you're going to do what? No, you're not. Kiss my ass. And at least these guys, had the courtesy to, give me, look, literally, Seaside Heights is literally 20-minute drive from my house. 20 minutes there, 20 minutes back, I'm home. Most guys don't get a drive like that for a decent payday, and they paid me, so I have nothing bad to say about them right now,
Jason Knight. Not the wrestler Jason Knight, promoter.
Jason Knight, the promoter. Jason Knight, the wrestler. Good talker. Jason Knight, the promoter, has good ideas and not enough money to do the ideas with. I like Jason Knight as a promoter, though, because Jason Knight, I work for him all the time. He does his best for me.
Hey, Jason's been a friend of mine for years.
Yeah, Jason, the only thing Jason needs is some fucking money to run some, he needs some money. I'm not going to get into some details there. Jason is my friend. I do not want to anger anybody. And I'm not talking bad about you, Jason, but I like ACW. In fact, I'm the ACW World Champ right now, as a matter of fact, in case you didn't know.
And the three-time?
And the three-time USA Pro Champ and two-time IWA World Heavyweight Champion, Puerto Rico.
Frank Goodman.
My favorite promoter.
Excellent.
That's the truth. That's the truth.
Jack Sabbath.
Let's call him again. Where's my money?
We will not call him on air.
Let's call him.
I think he's probably home. So we won't call him.
We won't call him.
We won't call Jack. Jack has to take care of his daughter tonight anyway.
Wait, he's got a kid?
Yeah, Jack has a beautiful young daughter.
Wait a second.
Ashley.
How do you have a kid and do what you...
She's a good girl.
I'm speechless.
Okay, well, I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll skip over Jack. We'll come back to Jack later. But she does. Jack has a beautiful daughter, Ashley, who's going to come to Willie's birthday party.
How old is she?
Willie's 3. I'd say Ashley's probably 6. I'm going to guess and say 6.
Well, no wonder why he can't pay nobody. He's got a kid. And he is a kid. How old is he, 10? Talking about Jack.
Well, okay, I'll tell you what we're going to do. We're going to jump in.
Okay.
ECW. You just got the ECW. First gimmick, biker gimmick.
Gay, sadomasochistic
First
biker.
match.
Crowbar, Devin Storm.
Devin Storm. What'd you do to him?
Fucked him out of a job. That was his last night before I went to WCW. They didn't have a finish for me. I gave him a tombstone. They didn't tell me how to act. I was like, I don't know. I went out there and acted kind of like Gold does. Kind of pumped his face 3 times when I got the count, and then did a strip tease. The big balls.
You become Balls Mahoney.
The Balls Mahoney that there is now?
Yep, you become Balls.
I became Balls Mahoney because I got sick of fucking acting gay. I said, let me be myself tonight. You let me be myself.
How long were you there for that? Till you became Balls?
About 4 or 5 months.
And
Not longer.
Now,
Maybe
before that was really nothing, right?
Yeah, it was nothing.
It was nothing.
I was just working with
Okay, you become Balls.
Yeah.
What happens?
They need someone to work Sandman because Sandman was drunk all the time and was really hurting people with the stick. So they knew I could take it. And Paulie one night on a little house show goes, look, I want you to do Sandman in a Singapore K match. Sure, no problem. And I was like, make sure you hit me hard with the stick. And, Sandman, I guess, didn't like me at first. Is that a tick? Or is that a spider? That's a dream dog. Okay. I just don't want biting me. Okay. So, Sandman breaks the stick over my head, and I'm fine. And, does his finish with the leg drop and basically beat me up. It's hard to come out of a match with Sandman unscathed.
Right.
Now it's a whole different story, but back then it was very hard to come out of a match with Sandman unscathed. And I was, Paul was like, Jesus Christ, man, that was a hell of a match. I'm like, well, thanks, And then he did the whole thing where I would challenge Sandman, Well, actually, it started in the arena the one night. I was wrestling Axel, and Sandman interferes and hits me a couple times with the stick. And I stop him, turn around, and I get the chair, and Paulie goes, Paulie's like, you gotta hit him, and you gotta listen, Bulls, you gotta hit him hard. If it looks soft, it's gonna suck. You gotta hit him. And I'll be honest with you, I've been wrestling how long now by this point? I have never hit nobody in the head with a chair. But you know what? I wrestled Sandman enough times by this point and heard enough about him and seen how drunk he was and seen guys get hurt. And I'd been hurt. I'm going, I'll hit that motherfucker. All right. And I drew back, and this is where the chair shot came from. I was a son of a bitch, and I didn't do this. I didn't do this. I drew back like this, took 3 steps. Not like, WWF, they go up, boom, I took 3 steps out of the corner, swung it like a baseball, like an axe. I used to chop wood. In the winter, our family was kind of poor, and we had electrical heating, so I chopped wood all winter to burn a fireplace so we could have heat. So it was a natural motion, and I went, you mother, whoa! And I was supposed to hit him 5 times. The 3rd shot, I blew blood at him. The 2nd shot went, and then just went, yeah! And I was yelling just like I am now, a lot louder than I'm trying to be quiet.
Yes, very expensive area I live in.
And I knocked him out in the 3rd chair shot. And that's how Balls Mahoney became Balls Mahoney.
Okay.
And then it got to the point where at the end of those series of matches, Sandman was hitting me with the chair, and I was hitting him with the stick because he couldn't take the chair shots.
Paul Heyman.
There never would have been Balls Mahoney if there wasn't Paul Heyman. Business-wise, I can hate Paulie a lot. Personally, I actually like Paul. Paulie's the type of guy I could hang out with, have beers with, go drinking with, have a great time with, personally. But business-wise, some pay-per-view bonuses, you know, maybe a thank you. A thank you would have been nice. Shit, you know, you get, business-wise, you can go fuck yourself. Because I got, what, 10 phone calls since ECW shut down. 10 phone calls, you know, most of them before the whole Maryland thing happened, and then the Maryland thing happens. I don't hear from you again. I even called you up to ask your advice the other night when XPW wanted me to do something. I was like, nah, I don't think so. I'm like, you know what, I'll call you and we'll see what happens. Bob Black wanted me to work. And the first thing I did was I just figured, well, I don't know anybody up there. I'll call him and, hey, Paulie, I need your advice on something. XPW wants me to work for him. If I go there, is it going to hurt me or not? Please give me a call back at your earliest convenience. I mean, it's still, what's tonight? Tonight's Wednesday, right? So there still could possibly actually be a phone call message from him tonight, but I highly freaking doubt it, so.
I've been friends with Paul for 20 years.
How many times you talked to him
on the phone? 20 years ago, I would speak to him every night, and then slowly it became once a year. Now it's...
No, wait, here you go. Frank, hey, I'll call you back in 6 minutes.
Yeah. Well, I happened to have spoke to Paul 3 years ago.
Really?
Yeah.
Was it Paul or Raul?
That was Paul.
It was Paul? It wasn't Raul?
That was Paul.
Hello? No, Buddy's not here. This is Raul. Okay, I'll tell him you called. Oh, you're the dick. Yeah.
Best memory in ECW.
Wow. One memory?
One memory.
The first tag team championship. My friend had died. Co-captain of my wrestling team died 3 weeks before the November, remember. Me and Tanaka won the belts at. And kid was an environmentalist engineer, was a member of the Surf Rider, and was this big surfer. Still lifted weights avidly, had a great body. Short kid, wrestled 130 pounds, did not McDonald. Goes to the gym. He was one of the kids that supported me. One of the only kids in school who was like, you're gonna do it, don't worry. Fuck what these people think about wrestling. They think you're an idiot. You're gonna do it. And the kid drops dead. Boom, bam, walks to the gym, signs his name. Aneurysm first before he even fucking finished signing his name. Dead before he hit the floor. And I put his name on the back of my chair, the pay-per-view match, and I didn't know until that, like 5 minutes before we were going out to the ring, that we were going to win the belts that night. And I was like, you gotta be kidding me. And I came back and I was crying like a baby. That was probably one of the best memories.
Excellent. Worst memory you ever had? Worst night in ECW? Ever a night that you went home and you just said, you know what? This sucked.
Yeah, the last Hammerstein show.
Why?
Oh, yeah. Well, you know I'm a big football fan.
Right, big football
I'm a
fan.
huge Giant fan.
First time we met.
First show.
First time you had to sit there and watch the whole
I
Giants
had to
game.
watch that whole Giant game before I could even come in the locker room.
Yep.
And that was that was the year. We went.
Yep.
We went, man. We're going.
You want to know what? If I remember correctly, that might have been the day after the Hammerstein. Think about it. You were just incredible.
No, because I had ticket. No, that was the first Hammerstein. I'm talking about the last.
Right, but it was the first. Yeah.
Yeah, it was the day after the first Hammerstein. But the last Hammerstein, I wasn't advertised for the show. There was no plans. There was no talk to me about the show. I know I'm just another filler. I get a phone call. I got 50-yard line tickets set up. I got the money for them. Giants, Eagles. You know, that was Seahorns, that great defense. And I'm a defensive fan. I was at every Giant home game from 82 to 93, okay? I'm a Giant fan. I'm a fucking fanatic. I live, eat, breathe, shit, die the New York Giants, okay? I call Heyman up, and for the first time in almost 6 years, I asked for the night off. I said, Paulie, you have no reason for me to be on this pay-per-view. I go, you got a Hammerstein show. There's no reason for me to be there. You have me not booked against anybody. I'm nobody on there. You know, can you just, you know, you've been saying I'm going to make all this money. I'm not making shit, you know. Fucking, you cut my hours, you cut my work. You haven't given me a raise in 2 years. Let me have off and go to this football game, please. Pause. Listen to me. I'm going to do something. I need you. And I'm quoting. For this, fuck you. I need you, balls. I can't. gotta have you at this pay-per-view. It's gonna make your career. I swear to God, he said this to me. It's gonna make your career. This is gonna be one of the biggest things you've ever done. I'm like, Paulie, I'm sick of the bullshit. Please tell me the truth. Tell me you're speaking the truth. I don't want to know what it is. Just tell me you're speaking the truth, and I'll be there. And he goes, Balls, look. Fuck, the last time you were at the Fridays, you can go to the Fridays down the street. Just don't have anything to drink. I know you've been good. Don't drink anything. You can watch the game. I don't care. But I need you at the pay-per-view. All right, I'll be there. So I go to the Fridays. I watched that incredible Giant Eagle game at the Fridays down the street from there. And I was with Sinister Minister. And I said, you're my witness. I haven't had a thing to drink all night, right? And the devil, and it was funny too, because me and the devil, you know, we kind of like, it's a shoot gimmick, you know, and I'm like, come on, dude, and we put the horns up, and he said some kind of mumbo jumbo, and Seahorn picked off the ball, ran a touchdown backward. So I go back in this, I'm in a great mood, you know, we're going to the Super Bowl, you know. And now, I had to report to him before I could go to Fridays. Okay, before I could even go to watch the game, I had to be at the show and see Paulie. So I'm around. Where's Paulie? Paulie, I'm here. I'm going to Fridays. Okay, no drinking. Okay, no problem. I come back. Paulie, I'm back. See, was I drinking? No drinking. All right, Balls, come here. Me and Jasmine go out. I already worked me and Jasmine the first Hammerstein match. It was a good match, you know? So I'm like, all right. And he goes, they're going to do the thing. They run out. You run out. You waffle meanie. And get that job. Here comes Rhino. Rhino had his job. Paulie hated him. He tagged with me his first night against the Dudleys. Paulie hated him. The Dudleys hated him. I said, you're stupid. Look at the guy. And he's going to be worth something. You can do, right now, you can make him Goldberg. You could make him Goldberg right now. Which is, of course, no offense to Terry Rhino, man. Hey, nothing but the best. You're a great guy. You never do nothing to me. I'm not mad at you. I'm glad you're making money. But, you know, that night I was really pissed off at you. And you knew it, too. Because Paulie's like, and then Rhino's going to see Rhino and you're going to square off. And you hit him 3 times. And he doesn't go down and just gorge the shit out of you. And you just sell. I'm going. And then he was like, you mean to tell me I haven't gotten a raise in 2 years? I just gave up what arguably could have been the best live football game I would ever have seen. And you're telling me, I go, no. You want to know what's going to happen? I go, you know what's going to happen? I'm going to hit fucking Meanie. I'm going to see Rhino. He's ducking. He's goring me. And if you want me on this fucking show, I'm really starting, like, shaking, red. I'm like, and if you don't want to get hurt, you're going to fucking walk out of this room now. That's it. I've had it, you know? Fucking Mr. Bounce Check, Mr. This bullshit, Mr. You're going to get pay-per-view bonus. And I'm just ranting. I'm going. And I walked out. I'm dressed. I'm like, you know, this is it. I'm walking outside. And his fans, what's wrong with you, Balls? I'm like, fucking Paul Heyman, you'll see. Oh, I'm sorry. This is, you know,
my neighbors.
You asked me about the night.
All right, go on.
So the night had, you know, this is what I go out there. So I'm supposed to take it, like I took the Van, you know, the first Van, I was the first one to take the Van Terminator, the big, you know, across the ring, drop kick with the face thing that Van Dam did, and, you know, dive for like, you know, 20 minutes. That's what Paulie wanted me to do off a spear. I'm like, okay. Lit me on fire. I get up from that, but the spear's supposed to, all right. So I go out there, waffle meanie, yeah, there's Rhino, duck, I get gored. What did I do? I'm so hot, and I'm so sorry about this Terry. You know, I should have just let this sit. I should have been professional and sold it, but, had enough. Rolled out of the ring, got on my hands and knees. I wasn't even selling. I wasn't even out there long enough to sell. I went, rolled out, got on my hands and knees. Fans are laughing. You look, I'm like, you paid to see me do this shit? I sure as hell didn't. I should have been at the Giant game. Didn't you see that Giant game? I'm calling back to the ring. And the camera's on me. And I'm going, you paid to see this? Into the camera. And Paul's like, looking at me going like this. I'm like, you're going to want to get your... And I went in the room and he's like, Balls. And I just went, you see the wall, Paul? And he goes, yeah. And I went, bam! And a hole just went, And he went. And I went, I should just play. And I just got undressed and got into a fight with Stacy and said, and then that night he had the big meeting. I'm gonna be in LA until we get TV. You have nothing to worry about. The show next week is canceled, but that's okay because we're coming back here and we're gonna be strong and we're gonna do this. And he's out in LA filming Rollerball and declaring bankruptcy. So that, yeah.
And that's the end of ECW.
And that was the end of it. That was how, you know how we found out we were going bankrupt? 2 weeks after the Hammerstein Ballroom, myself, Danny Doran, Chris Chetty, Roadkill, Harry Slash gets us this deal. Hey, Willie, what's up? What do you got there?
Beauty.
Oh, beauty. Yeah, beauty is a beauty, huh?
What do you say when you see balls? Oh,
Oh, you don't like the noise?
He's
You
making
don't
too
like
much
the balls?
noise.
I'm making too much noise?
But tell him, balls, balls, balls.
Tell the camera. Oh, you're not going to do it?
Tell balls, it's your birthday on Sunday? How old? Well, Sissy coming. How old are you going to
How
be?
old are you going to be?
No, 3. 3.
You're going to be 3?
Yeah, now give him the raspberry.
Give me a high five.
No.
Good boy. High five, Daddy. All right.
Oh, he's not scared. You never get scared. You know that. You always play with me. Of all nights, you're not... Oh, okay, he's smiling.
Okay, sit down there before you scare my son. Yeah, what a way to do. All right. That's Jack Sabbath. Okay, we'll discuss that in a minute. You ever go to the bathroom, have it pee, and have it hurt? You ever get a urine infection?
No, but I did sit down in a pizzeria one night. Oh, God, fucking itches. What the hell was that? I looked down, I got some scabs. I was working in a pizzeria in Long Branch because they would order for pizzerias. I was at one of Long Branch just there. There's people in the store, all right? Nothing ever like this happened to me before. And I'm like, I pull this thing off. I'm looking at the scab. I'm looking at the scab, and the scab starts going like this. I went, fucking dirty whore crabs, ah! Like loud, in the store, and the people know I'm in the bathroom, and I'm the one serving their food, and I'm going, I got fucking crabs. That did happen.
Very nice. You think anything could have saved ECW?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know what could have saved ECW, man. Maybe that last year, maybe instead of hiring fucking that whoever the guy was, that Greg Bagger shitty Rosie, and he books these huge fucking 6,000 to 8,000 seat arenas that we've never been in before, in towns we've never been in before. He goes, well, I used to promote U2. I know what I'm doing. How hard is it to promote U2? You put a sign up, U2 coming to the town in a month, and you sell out in 3 days. You know, and that's what he did. He put up the sign in the building. ECW coming to town. We do 1,000 people. And when you need 2,200 paid to break even on a show, and that's how high our budget was at one point, and we're doing 1,500 people a night.
You ever hurt anybody real bad?
In the business on purpose?
No, accident.
Accident? Real bad?
Yeah.
Yeah, I blew a buncher. I lit him on fire. The last match we had, I blew fire at him, and the referee got in the way, and I pushed him out of the way, and he bumped into me when I was going to, and he told me, blow the fire at me, just right before I went to Smoky Mountain. I blew the fire at him, and he covered him up, and he got, literally, you can see the scar, I'm still this day, this big burn mark, and he's laying on the mat going, sell it, so I'm like going, ah, I turned him back around to him, and he's still on fire, like, I'm talking, like, all right, see, that's fire. I'm talking flames this high off of his area, and I'm going, and I look at the ref, and everybody's like this. So I get down on him, and I'm putting him out, and I'm hitting him in the head. I'm like, come on, buddy, let's go home. And he goes, shut up, champ, and throws me out of the ring, and then beat me up for like about 15 minutes, hits me with a cleaver, goes, okay, champ, kick out. I'm like, what? And he goes, kick out, and I kick out of the cleaver, and he goes, now stay. And I said, okay, he's got another cleaver, picks me up, hits me with a third cleaver, and then pins me. Then goes out for dinner with us. Yeah.
Ever hurt anybody on purpose?
Yeah, a couple people. Vader, Carlos, a couple indie guys over the years. Lately, not really. Lately, I really lately in the last from ECW, there was a couple guys I waffled in ECW on purpose that weren't important to the company. PM News, I waffled. He was going around saying the boss thinks he's going to hit me in the head hard with that chair. We're going to see who has a problem. So I broke his nose and his teeth on one chair shot, and I ripped the seat, like the backing part. It literally ripped off on his face.
I beat up the new Dynamite Kid, you know.
I watched you beat up the new Dynamite Kid. I watched you beat up Ken. Your matches are the. I enjoy watching.
I'm the Masked Maniac.
Masked Maniac matches. They're
Everybody pulling anybody's pants down like me?
In the ring?
Yeah.
In front of fans?
Yeah.
I pulled girls' tops off in the ring.
Yeah, but that's why I'm the Masked Maniac and you're just balls.
Well, you see, the Masked Maniac is pulling guys' pants off. I'm pulling big-titted women into the crowd and pulling their tops off and fondling them. So
I humiliate people. I give them the worst humiliation they've ever had.
That's true. Those fans are humiliated when they see that poor, disgusting Darkfire naked, man.
His penis was hanging out.
I know, but it's not. That's not. I mean, I think you could call it a penis if it had an inch.
Matter of fact, I'm pretty sure, Steve, we're going to show his penis on tape, aren't we?
No, come on, don't.
We shoot video that have penis.
Oh, well, don't put mine on there, okay?
You ever get hurt real bad?
Oh, Jesus.
I know you've gotten hurt a lot. What's the worst thing?
The worst
Look at the worst thing.
The worst injury I ever had, Mike Awesome, was second night in ECW. It was for the year before. I was before my time. It was the first match in the arena. The second match ever in the arena was against me. And he was supposed to, go for the powerbomb. Now, Mike Awesome, in case you don't realize, his actual shoot height is like 6'6", with his boots on, he's 6'6", 6'7". And he has me up like this, razor's edge dude, running powerbomb. And I was supposed to duck behind, kick, slam, miss the leg, running powerbomb. Well, I'm getting held up like this. I'm coming down, so my ass is like down to here on him, so my shoulders are here.
Great, what's the injury?
Fractured C3 vertebrae.
All right, how long did it take to heal?
I don't think it's still healed properly. I never knew I had it until, and this was 96 or 97. It was never diagnosed until 2000.
All right, sit down, Tubby. Favorite TV show?
Simpsons.
Favorite Batman
South
villain?
Park. Simpsons and South Park.
Favorite Batman villain?
Jack Nicholson's Joker.
No, the real Batman.
That is the real Batman.
No.
Jack Nicholson's Joker.
The real TV Batman.
Oh, the TV show Batman.
Yeah.
Penguin.
You know Chuck Connors used to have gay sex?
Who's Chuck Connors?
The rifleman.
No, I didn't know that.
Okay.
A little bit before my time there, maniac. You're starting to show your age.
Cliff Barnes. Should Cliff Barnes have given up after 10, 11 years?
Who's Cliff Barnes?
The one that J.R. Ewing used to ruin every
year. Oh, yeah.
Cliff Barnes used to give it up, right?
He should have just tapped out right away.
All right, where do you see yourself in 5 years?
Hopefully, honestly, either really getting a nice push in one of the top 2 Japan companies or really being used well in W. I hope it doesn't take another year, but I'd like to see in 5 years maybe a strap, either like maybe New Japan or All Japan, whatever wants number 1 company. Right now I really like New Japan. I want to be, when I first got into it, I wanted to be the best, like, big man I could be. Now I just want to be, and this may come as a shock to you, but it's going to happen. My new goal now is to be the best. As weird as that sounds, coming from a guy who's been chain smoking for you, I'm going to be the best. I'm going to make a lot of fucking money.
Anybody you've never wrestled that you wish you did? Or anybody you could still wrestle? Anybody you've never wrestled that you want to?
Can I mention a couple names?
Sure.
Bruiser Brody.
Yep.
Ric Flair. Terry Funk, which as of this date I have not wrestled, but I will in 2 weeks. I would have loved, for some reason, to wrestle Gorgeous George.
Keep going. Hello. Hi, hold on one sec, Brian's mommy. Brian, come over here and take your phone call. We're in the middle of this business. You can tell your mother to be here right away.
I would love to wrestle Gorgeous George. I wrestled Cactus Jack, so I can't say.
We gotta step it up. We're running out of film here. That's about it? All right. Give you the last few minutes. Who has screwed you in this business? What promoters have you, when your younger days, you ever show up and not get paid? In your later days, now that you're in the indies?
Sure. Dennis Coruzzo did it to me.
Yep.
Dennis Galam, Tommy D. Larry Sharp never did. Frank Goodman never has. There's a new guy out there now called, what the hell is that guy's name? Kent Cothran. Who's a stupid asshole. Let's see. Jesus Christ. Heyman screwed me. Carlos Colon screwed me. A lot of people screwed me.
One sec, Will.
A lot of people screwed me. And you know what? I'm not the only one that gets screwed in this
Right.
business. You want to be in this business? I'll tell you what. Sum up this business real quick. This business is... You hear how dirty and scummy the music business is? Well, I ain't got nothing on the wrestling business.
All right, Steve, how much more time we got? 1 minute. You got 1 minute, whatever you want.
I want all my fans to keep supporting me. I want, no matter what happens, I just want to say thank you very much for allowing me to live my dream. If I ever, do get hurt, that one top rope move and I die, or break my neck and I can't walk again, don't worry about me because I ain't gonna live through it. I will eat a bullet if I can't work anymore. I just want you people to keep supporting me because, if it wasn't for you guys, I wouldn't have a job, I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing, and I wouldn't be Balls Mahoney. Thank you.
I'm the Masked Maniac. This is Balls Mahoney. This is the first shoot video by USA Pro Wrestling. We better not catch anybody.
Check the Gangrel match out. I still haven't
this
seen
Gangrel
it.
match is great.
Check out the Gangrel match.
Norman Smiley, Xavier, Steve Carino. There's a whole bunch of great matches on this tape, and I better not catch anybody bootlegging this tape.
Or he'll pants you and I'll chair you.
That's right. De-pants you.
Get that,
He'll
Savage?
chair you.
You get that? We're going to pants you and then chair you, and then, you know what we're going to do? We're going to film you, kill you, and fuck you, and not necessarily in that order.
And I'll just pull your damn pants down. This is the Masked Maniac. That's Balls Mahoney. Fat Matt's here. Brian, the little boy's here. And Big Willie's in the house. And that's the end.
I am excited. The two ECW superstars. Of course, just incredible. World champ. And now Balls Mahoney. ECW tag team champ. One of the most hardcore guys in the business. This guy got big balls.
Absolutely. The pin man likes to make jokes and be sarcastic, but I'm going to call it as straight as I see it. This is two of the best in our business. Balls, look at him right there. He's crazy. Jumping over gates, slamming chairs on fans. He's just hardcore. He's great. I'll tell you what, if there's anything to come, if anything respect from ECW, it's hardcore action at its best. And Balls Mahoney and Just Incredible are two of the most hardcore competitors in the wrestling business, and I'm sure they're going to put on quite a show for the USA Pro fans here tonight.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'd also like to introduce Balls Mahoney's companion, Slasher.
Of course, Balls Mahoney, he's been waiting for this title shot for a long time. He thinks he deserves that ECW title. Of course, Just Incredible who won that ECW World title from Tommy Dreamer not that long ago. And here he is, Just Incredible. This guy's not just good, this guy's not just great, he's just incredible.
And the fans seem to really appreciate having Just Incredible here at USA Pro Wrestling by this fantastic ovation he gets coming to the ring. Little did you know, I never thought in my life USA Pro Wrestling were able to bring the ECW World Heavyweight Champion, but they've got it done here tonight.
And this is prime